Starship Vigilant, a Star Trek Adventures campaign.
So you'd think, as this was a continuation of the last game, that I'd have it all prepared and be ready
Don't
to
worry
go.
about it.
But
I did
not the
warn.
case
I
this
did warn the
time
girl
round.
from work, and because she was saying about her husband was like, "Oh, I was a bit worried about. Thinks you're all going to be sitting around like quoting Star Trek." So once I finished laughing for after 10 minutes, I was like, "Oh no, no, you've really got the wrong idea." No. I said, no, nothing like that at all. Believe me.
Okay, so a quick recap of last game.
Steve?
Previously.
There was a so we encountered a giant kraken-like creature that had
It was a space squid.
space squid that had a ship trapped in it. We didn't go on the ship, did we?
I think we did.
Did we go? We did go to 2 points.
Yeah.
We went to the engine bay with
Organic,
there was
but
organic.
not Geiger. Very
No.
important.
And then we have a countdown, wasn't it?
So yeah, the shields were failing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was going to be taken because it was basically being pulled into a space. The octopus creature was like pulling it
Another
into
dimension.
a warp.
Yeah,
or
we established it had come from another
a
dimension.
rift. Yes.
And hadn't we made contact with something or someone?
No, it was the original. It was another ship from the same species,
Yeah, hadn't that come in?
and that it was
So, right, I'll give you a brief recap. You were on your way. There were some probes that were sent out that were malfunctioning, so that's where you went to investigate. They were being pulled into gravitational eddies. On your way there, you picked up a distress call, which was a ship caught by the space squid.
Do it anyway, Kevin.
You went aboard the ship. You found a few survivors that you beamed back to your ship.
So these were, and they were like all sort of plant-based. We thought they were vaguely.
Yeah, so their makeup,
Plant-based
although they look quite humanoid,
Yeah, yeah.
they are sort of more plant in makeup than they are mammal. You had a bit of an encounter with the squid as it chased you around a bit, but then it disappeared. It sort of
Oh yes.
jumped out of existence, or your immediate vicinity. And then another ship appeared, and it was navigating the gravitational eddies with ease, which you guys were having problems with. They said that they were in pursuit of the ship that you had pulled these members from.
wasn't it? a prison
Didn't it use
ship
the
or
word
something?
fugitives? Was that?
Yes, it was a ship of fugitives.
Yeah.
Yes.
That they were chasing down, and they demanded that you return them,
We don't do well with demands, do we?
because actually I might have some of the dialogue.
Went some in the med bay, and the med bay got taken over.
And then I was trying to do the whole, why don't we be friends about, let's have a chat, a friendly chat, come over for a cup of coffee, and then and then I think I headed to the sick bay to find out that people had been knocked out and they were gone.
Yeah, so there was like a cloud of spores.
In the passageway or something like that. Yeah.
The doctor was knocked out, Pluto Plume. He came to.
After we sat him down.
Not to see him with a cloud of smoke around his head.
The Hranok's daughter and Kimberly Fairchild both missing, suspected to be. And yeah, that's pretty much where we left it, right?
Okay, that ain't going to sit well.
I've got notes on it.
Other people think otherwise I can all these cheese balls for myself.
So, did I actually get the probes rephased? I've got
I don't think you
rephased
had-
probe to X megahertz plus an anti-gravity bomb.
Because we've been messing about with
And
shield
rephase
frequencies before the other ship arrived,
probe
haven't we?
two. Yeah, I think I'm trying to create some kind of holographic.
Yeah, so you were running simulation. Well, you were getting one of your other people to run simulations for you.
to rephase the torpedoes to the hertz, because it's another dimension. So I wanted to work out what frequency that dimension is vibrating at.
Because you made you sent a pulse out, and the squid let go of the ship when it hit a certain frequency.
Yeah. So that frequency we were going to use to create 2 probes. One was an anti-grav or anti-matter bomb based on that megahertz, so it would vibrate at that speed, and then create some kind of giant holographic image to, I guess, create another version of our ship or something. I can't remember what I've said, but to use
Well,
that
you didn't say this one out loud. I remember that much because I know you had said so.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the idea is to create some kind of weapon that phases at the same phase that they were vibrating at.
Okay, because we thought
I
they
may
were.
go further than that. I don't
We
know,
weren't sure
but
whether they were from another dimension themselves. Is that?
I thought we had got
We
to a
established
point because it wasn't a
I
known
thought
creature.
I thought the aliens were. The squid was from another dimension, but I didn't think the aliens were.
I thought the ship had indicated it was. I thought we
No, because wasn't it being pulled into it?
there was definitely
Didn't the
another
squid
dimension element, but I can't remember.
Well,
Oh, that's just so Osterhagen, isn't it? It's like-
It's an anti-grav bomb.
So has the ship? So is the other ship? So we know that we're missing crew members. And is the other ship still there, basically?
Oh yes, yeah. So they are demanding the return of their fugitives.
I just realised something.
Yep.
Does the ship have the onboard computer? Do we have a Magellan Barrett interface?
What?
Do you have what?
A Magellan
Maybe.
Barrett interface.
I've removed that to.
Does the
make
computer
up
speak-
no idea.
Does it go there? Can we come do the whole computer? Da-da-da. And then Magellan Barrett goes, like, the person you're looking for is here, or so-and-so is
Yeah,
there.
it will have because it's a next generation ship, so it'll have
Google ships.
because they use it. Yeah, Google.
I'd rather have a Google ship than an Apple ship from the Kelvin universe.
That's a good point. Though we could just that's a good point.
Yep.
So the
Yeah,
first thing
it's not-
probably to say
it's
would be
not
computer
much, yeah.
locate Ensign Fairchild, because obviously
Yeah.
the computer goes by combat.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if they're anywhere on the ship, then we will be able to find them.
Perfect.
In theory. So yeah, so one of us will presumably once we realise that they've disappeared,
Yep.
go to
No,
the
that's
compound.
whatever it is, the interface is, I'm on computer locate.
I get you. That's a good point.
Ideal. So the computer responds, and it says Dr. Fairchild is not on board, or cannot be found on board. Okay, but then who is sitting at tactical station?
So probably Kalish, I would
Kalish,
imagine.
yeah.
Kalish. Okay, she would tell you that this cloud of spores are interfering with environmental controls. So there are portions of the ship that are almost blacked out, so the computer sensors can't pick up because these spores are almost like an organic themselves.
Like
so it's
a
just a
chaff.
cloud of it, so you can't pick up
So
anything
it's-
within.
Okay.
So it's like an organic chaff.
Yes.
So do we need to
Okay, can someone
think
check-
about isolating these sections of the ship to keep the spores from spreading? Is that
Can
something we need
someone
to do?
turn up Can someone turn up the extractor fan?
I can do that. I'm in because I'm playing the engineer.
Why don't we just
aren't I?
space the deck? Space the air.
What?
There's only like 40 to lose anyway. Okay, so hang on a minute. We probably need to take a little breath here and figure out what we're doing. So,
Yeah, there's no oxygen in the atmosphere. Yeah.
so
is
do we know where these organic spores are located on the ship? Are they all over the ship, or are they in a particular location?
Well, the first thing the one thing before we do that, I'd most probably to get Kalish to start doing sweeps and to lock down the transporter bays, and the shuttle boat and the shuttle bay too, because those are the two most obvious ways to get off the ship
Perfect.
in a hurry. So
You might remember from last session that this species at least appeared to be unfamiliar with transporters, because they said about preparing them for transport,
As in shuttlecraft.
on shuttle. So you get the impression that they don't know what transporters are. Just about them, but yeah, of course you can send her to.
Do you know what? That's actually really refreshing because normally in Star Trek everyone's got like the same technology. It's like so that's really cool.
So we want to get across that this species are
very different. Yeah.
quite different. Yeah.
So do we know whether the computer will search for com badges in the Vigilant, or is it looking for humanoid beings?
Just scan the ship.
So you can
Because obviously you search. You said where is?
if you ask it for the
Kimberly.
location of a crew member, it goes by the comm badge. But you could obviously you can use internal sensors to scan the ship.
So
scan
do an
the
internal
ship.
sensor for all humans, and link them up to their comm
Or
badges
no, or crew.
or crew, and we're trying to establish if the comm badge has been destroyed.
So in other words, are there any humanoids on board who have not got comm badges, therefore are not?
Just trying to see if there's a.
So we could do that from the. We'd have to do that from the bridge. You'd probably have to get Kalish to do that with the internal sensors, I guess. But
Okay, so
And then issue a red alert. Or a yellow alert. I think it's what would be the appropriate alert state is not just but for the internal.
with intruders on board, I reckon it would probably be red.
Yeah, they go to red alert.
shut down all the doors and you only
Yeah.
sugar.
condition GQ or something.
Yeah, no, there was one that you think about the anyway,
Anyway, so yeah, alert stations. Well,
If in doubt, go to red. I say.
Yep.
Are there any French crew members? Because they may surrender at this point if they wish.
often security.
You can edit that out.
No, I
Sorry,
won't
all of
bother.
our French listeners.
all of our French listeners. Yeah. Apologies to all of France.
You've just
You mean
lost a
they've gone by
massive part of our fan base, Kevin.
Yeah,
Je
there's
suis
only one of them.
Picard.
Oh, well, they're all going to be listening now because he's back in vogue now, isn't he? See, all the French are coming back out of the woodwork now. Bloody hell.
Okay, so environmental controls are filtering the spores without too much trouble. There's a bit of a delay to it, but they are sort of clearing the decks. The deck that the medical bay is on, those spores are almost completely clear.
Just in my mouth open when I put them.
At the same
Dropped it.
time that the sensors give you the information that there is still spores being generated from somewhere, is the same time that one of the security reports that they have spotted the fugitives, or
The crew members from the
crew
original
members.
ship.
Yeah, they have spotted them. They are in the cargo bay. Cargo bay 1.
Shop is
Oh,
still
And they ask for how to proceed.
erect a level
It's
1
not
force
my
field
order.
around the shuttle bay.
Okay.
Cargo bay. Seal them in.
So, do you think?
Standards all right.
Well, I think that's probably right. You should, we should put a force field around the bay, and then, like you say, send a security team. Maybe. I say team.
we have
There's like
cameras?
3 security people on this ship.
No, there are
It's
8.
right now that you begin to think. Do you know what? I really wish we had a Galaxy class with like 700 security guards. We've got like 2.
There are like 8 people on board this. 8 security on
They're not
board
going to
this
kill
ship.
us. There's only 8 left.
Check the logs to see if any of the airlocks have been opened in the last hour.
Okay.
Because obviously we know they don't do transporters.
May I just ask a question for clarification? Where are we all? So, are you flying the ship?
I'm still
So
on
you're
the bridge.
on the bridge,
So far as
okay.
I know, as far as
So
I'm
you're not in the
concerned.
Cargo Bay. I'm probably on the bridge at the engineering station. I would imagine, having beamed back over.
I can't remember.
So I
what
guess
any
you
of the-
two were down in the medical.
Well,
bay,
I came back to. I would have come back
Who
to
are
the
you playing,
bridge
Steve?
because my first thing would be
so the engineer.
to be involved with doing the search. It's not becoming of the commanding officer to be doing that. So,
Okay.
but once we get the report that they're done in the Cargo Bay 1, I would basically be alright, except for the because we've only got 1 transporter.
2.
2, so 2 on transporter and the cargo.
They're really pokey though. Yeah, they're really quite. Well, they're like more like a cupboard. Everything on this ship is more like a cupboard. We've got
So
the
we'll shut
sick bay
them down.
cupboard. We've got the mess hall.
Okay,
cupboard.
yeah, get engineering to shut them.
Technically, we got
Or we can just override them so that
Only security. Can
or like it has to be done via the bridge.
So those of us on the bridge, the other ship is still there, and you said they're still demanding.
They're hailing as well, yeah. So the
Oh, in
others
that
are
case, I'll
there.
be like, oh, okay.
Can we maybe get? So can Kaz maybe? Is it worth scanning that ship to see if we can detect
that's
Fairchild
what I-
and Rannoch on
Yeah,
that ship?
I was waiting for orders for that, but I've already got the scan.
Show some
set up.
But it all set up
initiative.
red-
Show some
red-
initiative, man.
Yeah, but that's scanning a ship. that
Could be seen as a declaration of war.
Yeah. Once they fight the.
Actually,
Well, they're
do-
threatening
go-
us,
go-
so
yeah,
I know
red
that
alert.
ship is probably.
So
if by going to red alert, we don't know whether their scanners can pick up the fact that we've gone to red
Well,
alert.
we've got shielding up all the time anyway.
But does that not look like we've gone to?
Okay.
Battle stations.
I'm,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
scanning. I'm scanning the.
Target lockdown.
Do we, have we got a name for this species?
They have not given a
They didn't give a name. I don't think.
Ugly.
no, I think they did. When she introduced herself, she said part of the Valeth Empire.
So
okay.
Valeth Empire.
Love an empire.
Yeah.
I've written that under mushroom men because they're like spores.
Well, if they're heading, I'll kind of do a.
Well, I'm going to scan the Valeth ship for
Yep.
human and Bolian. Is it?
Yeah, because that's right. So
Yep.
Brannock, Napoleon.
So,
If you did bovine, then
for those who have got
Or at
more
least
experience than myself,
Yes.
Yeah.
if someone has their shields up, are you still able to scan the ship?
You think you can? Well,
Depends what
It depends on the story
You
writer.
know what I
In that
was-
case, if it all depends on the writer, then yes, you can scan the ship. Their life signs do not appear on board.
Yeah, I was going to say you could also in Star Trek Adventures you could maybe argue that if you wanted to get people to like spend extra momentum to get, so in other words
Yep.
you can scan it, but if you want actual information you need to. But I don't think sensors get blocked by shields. I mean obviously transporters do. So no, but like you say, it's really a plot thing. So it's whatever
Yeah.
you feel comfortable with giving
Yeah,
away.
that's fine.
So- can we scan the ship to see if there's any traces of any difference in the vibrational activity of the craft? Or any way to determine whether it has come from another dimension? Is there any trace elements? Is it still slightly vibrating or not?
Okay, so just to clarify something, before the thing that you were picking up was the from the squid
Yeah.
was that it had travelled through a wormhole.
Yeah.
So it wasn't
that-
necessarily from another dimension.
But it had got here by travelling through another dimension, i.e. a wormhole.
Yes. So
He just wants some other dimensional DNA. That's all it is.
Can I double check something? Just a second. Did we establish who was my first officer?
Kaz. We did. I listened to that bit, and it was Kaz.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right, I turned to you and I'm basically like, are you okay with
Yeah.
fielding while I go downstairs?
Yeah.
Just tell them that we're dealing with their
Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
had an incident with their fugitives, which gives
We're putting them on lockdown.
credence to their story. However, we need to deal with the situation before we accept them. What we still prepared to have them on board. We just need to lock them up. Don't tell them we need to lock them down.
Yeah.
And then I leave.
Everything's fine here. It's all fine here. How about you?
Just a phase to start.
Yeah. I'm going to say. What is it? Were you actually talking to him or?
entirely up to you. So if you want to open the comm.
Yeah. What was the last message we received from them, by the way?
The last message would have been.
It was sort of like prepare for.
Basically, hand over the fugitives. I think.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, no, like, you know, if they want to come aboard, fine. However, we're first going to need to.
Well, no, they've turned over the ship.
Have they actually turned around and asked us for protection? Asked us for help?
They haven't.
No, because they weren't conscious, were they?
They were conscious. They were.
Yeah.
They were active. We didn't know what was said to the doctor.
Was any of them injured?
Yeah, that's why they were in the sick bay.
Okay.
Or they were unconscious. We didn't
They
know
were.
whether they
Yeah,
were.
they were hot.
I remember Kevin stuck one of their arms onto the ship to see whether they interfaced with the ship organically, which they didn't.
Right. I'm gonna. So they
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 didn't
basically
quite-
sent.
We didn't think they were actually those guys around the ship.
They've said that they want our people back. They
Yeah,
want.
it said prepare the Valethi fugitives to transport be destroyed.
Well, now they've attempted to take over, kidnap some of our crew members. Can we just go? All right, come in, come get them.
Absolutely not a quantum torpedo we're beaming over. Absolutely, it's not.
I'm just going to go. This is the USS Defiant. We are rendering
Defiant.
Sorry, Vigilant.
No,
Wrong
we couldn't say
unit.
And I'm totally not editing that bit out.
This is the USS Vigilant.
What's taking so long?
We are
We're on the wrong bloody ship.
Yeah, that's why.
Oh, fine. Sorry, we were trying to get through the vigilance. Sorry to disturb.
Sorry, wrong number.
The Starship you read.
Yeah,
Luckily, they can't read English, so they can't read the numbers on the hull.
we are rendering medical assistance, and we are
Please stand by.
Yeah, please stand by. Basically, we are rendering medical assistance to survivors, and we please stand by.
Do you give a chance to speak back, or do you just cut it off at that point? Like, hang up. Please stand by.
I'm going to cut them off.
Okay.
Don't go to me.
I mean, we don't know them anything.
We don't know.
Then they're still sending hounds.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I'll get the comm off. We don't have a comm officer. Shit, do we?
Got to do everything yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
As I say,
I'm
I'm monitor the communications, but I'm not making any replies.
Yeah, cool.
I just want to see.
I'm sure you can say you've delegated some engineering
Yeah.
person to sit at the operations officer to sit at the thing. That's fine. We probably don't want to give away the fact that they're not in custody. We'd probably
Yeah.
not
You
be
said
able to
no,
think
don't
about
go. Don't hurt yourself.
it. Yeah, quite.
Yeah, we've got diversity to the group. We'll have the disabled.
Are they the ones that won stuff and got talent?
So as the sensors go, the environmental controls are filtering these spores as quickly as they can, but they're being generated just as quickly. So they're not filling a space, but they are encapsulating this party of people.
Do we know where they're coming from?
Can't go back.
They are definitely coming from the party, so it's moving with the party.
So
of
it's
people.
coming from the creatures, basically.
From them.
From the life forms.
Yep. They didn't have any equipment on them, so you can only assume that
It's
they
a
are
natural
they are
process.
secreting it.
Oh, gas mask. Gas mask.
Ooh, secreting.
I
Ooh.
want some kind of gas. Everybody to have gas masks so that like
Respirate. Yeah, we probably.
little respirators just in case.
Okay.
I'm sure
yep.
we have those.
Force field belts.
Oh yeah, that's an old school. Yeah, let's do old school. We're going to have like an orange hazy line round us where we're going to wear a funky belt and have
It'd
an
be
orange
like that
hazy
old
line.
Ready Brack advert, wouldn't it? Porridge oats, you know, the guy walking up the street with
I always like that idea. But
Right. Okay.
Okay. So our scene would cut. So we're elsewhere aboard the Vigilant. We cut to the Valef aboard the Vigilant. They are crouched behind crates, looking cautiously. Kim is trying to reason with them. So she says to one of them, whatever the problem is, we can help. There is no need to escalate the situation. And one of them responds to her, says, I don't expect you to understand, but if the Royal Guard catch us, we will no doubt be facing execution. So there isn't time to stop and discuss this. And then sort of you see one of the others, they're sort of shooting phasers. You don't see what they're shooting at, but there's definitely phaser fire
Okay.
being shot.
Okay.
It gets cut back to you guys, and
prefer episode
the security would say, "We've come under fire. Please give orders."
What are they doing? They weren't supposed to go into the.
Are they sealed into the what's it?
they're still in the cargo.
They're in the cargo bay, and I guess the security have sort of like covered the entrances.
Can I take action?
Can we transport internally?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we could withdraw security, transport our people.
However, the spores will probably prevent that because don't forget it's preventing sensors. So transporters need sensors to
Yeah.
lock onto life forms to
yeah,
transport.
we
So
can
that will
actually
probably
see those
prevent
guys.
that.
Yeah.
That's what you call a get out of jail free card for you there. That's a good
Going.
one.
Do we have any
Go.
grenades?
I'm going to go into the security section of the what's it? Activate the anesthetizing gas in the intruder alert gap. It's basically just fill the.
Oh, that's a bit unfair, Mike. Pulling that one, I would argue against that.
I wasn't
There's
entirely
nothing
sure we
canon.
had
There's
that.
nothing canon to say that the Vigilant has got.
If he wants to do
You
that.
just go, yeah, because
Did they have it? Did they have it? Did they have it on the
It's empty.
Defiant?
They never used it.
That's
That doesn't mean they've got.
All right,
Alright.
we'll leave that up to the GM.
I'll retract.
But what you're doing is you're pulling on your Star Trek knowledge that Kevin probably doesn't have, so that's a bit unfair.
No, well, I would have assumed that there would be some kind of.
Hey, no, if he wants to test my GM, and we can go down this
There
road.
We can, as I say,
What was it?
I-
Anything that was used in the TV shows, or was this from comics or books?
didn't they use it
Oh,
in the
God.
original series?
I can't
God help us, we're going down a canon rabbit hole. It was mentioned in the original series.
Yeah, they
Mentioned,
had.
Because it was in the Day of the Dove, and
Yeah.
remember they used gas to knock out. And in fact, no, it wasn't. It was Space Seed as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Do we have? Would we have?
Well,
Great.
you'd have some sort of.
This is
Intruder
the first time
defense
some of these have been out
It
for a
is-
week.
So you are perfectly welcome to release this gas if you like.
Yeah.
I would have thought that because you can also do things with Do we have
In the tone of his
the-
voice, it's going to make matters worse if you release the gas.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
just gonna
what
put that.
I
I'm just going to put that
force
out there.
field. Do we have
Speaking of
force
making
field?
matters worse, can we hand out the threat and momentum form?
Oh yeah, of
Just
course.
So that
I was gonna, yeah. Sorry. So you're gonna get one. So you get 8 points of threat, right?
Can we simply just turn off gravity so they just simply?
I mean,
float around
all of this is possible.
in the med bay. And,
Well, I first want to give them a chance to surrender.
yeah.
So I'll give everybody a determination point. Yeah.
I've only got Coke Zero after that, so rationing.
So you've got 8 threat. We've got determination, and we've got momentum chips here. So we need 6
There's a
momentum
line.
chips.
I'm going to go to the line.
okay.
So yeah, so that's the momentum. We've got 6
top it up a
momentum,
bit.
which we haven't got yet, but that's the maximum we can use.
Make
So
sure you
that's
got
there
enough
for
for
you
yourself.
to
Just top it up a bit.
for us to
Yeah,
dole
all
out
for
if we need
yourself.
it.
'cause,
Yeah.
I first want to health. I'm basically going to do a health thing to kind of be like, this is Commander Naismith. Commander. This is my Commander.
Can I just say
Naismith,
one thing?
Commander acting captain of the.
Maybe it might be worth trying to talk to them before we try and gas them or teleport
That's
into
what I'm
space. or
about.
Airlock door.
That's what I'm about to do.
Go for it.
I basically go up to the thing and kind of be like,
This is Commander Naismith. Prepare for
Yeah,
the gas.
what's it?
Well, you gave them fair warning. To be
Yeah, this is Commander Naismith, acting captain of the Defiant, the ship
I
that
wouldn't
you're
tell
on.
him the acting bit if I were you.
Oh, fine.
Defiant as well. What is going on?
It's his
Well, that
fault.
does it.
It's his fault. It's his
That
fault.
does it. I'm trading up to
Yeah.
a Voyager class next week. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Captain of the Vigilant.
Of the whatever.
Okay, please.
Please, I like it.
Release your hostages, or be prepared to engage in dialogue. Like at this point, I'd rather avoid bloodshed if we can help it.
Okay.
We don't have blood. We've got sap. Shut up.
Can I, whilst that's happening, I wanted to get some of the spores and run some tests on the spores to see if there's anything that can be used against them. Because these things are coming off them.
Weed killer.
That will definitely take some time because these spores are they're very alien to you. So you'd have to run some stuff for that.
I don't mean that stopping.
Let's do a work task on this. Steve, can you refresh me on
Extended task.
extended?
Oh, they're fun.
Well, it just so happens.
Since you want to be refreshed.
Just so happens. Excuse me. So, extended tasks cannot be overcome in a single attempt. They should only be used where there is additional pressure or tension, such as during combat when there is only a limited amount of time to succeed. Use a mechanism similar to how damage is inflicted in combat to represent activities which will take an uncertain amount of time and effort to complete. Extended tasks have a few additional factors to consider. So, each extended task has a work track, which is a means of determining how much work will be needed to overcome the extended task. This is a number from 5 to 20. So a particularly complex task could be up to 20. Standard would be probably 10. So a work track of 10.
Yep.
Let's say. Each extended task has a magnitude, normally a value from 1 to 5, which represents how large and complex an undertaking the extended task is. When a character achieves a number of breakthroughs described below equal to the extended task's magnitude, the extended task is completely overcome. So anywhere between 1 and 5. So if it's a relatively easy, it'd be a 1. If it's really hard, it'd be a 5. So
Okay.
pick a number there.
So the numbers, just to throw them out for the minute, it's going to need 15 of work, and currently it's 3 on the.
Can somebody jot
Magnitude
that?
scale.
Someone just to jot that down. So 15 and then 3. You said.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, if Kevin keeps track of it, because you'll be the one.
Some
doing
extended
work.
tasks are particularly arduous to overcome, and making progress is slower. This is covered by resistance, which reduces the amount of work done from each task. Most extended tasks do not have resistance, but those that do tend to have no more than 3. So resistance is like in combat when you have every character has inherent toughness, effectively. So you can say that extended task has resistance, which just means it's more difficult to achieve successes.
Yep.
That's up to you if you want to apply that. Like it says, generally no more than 3, so it'd be somewhere between 1 and 3 if you want to do that. And the extended task has a base difficulty, which is used for all tasks made to overcome the task. So that's standard difficulty, so it can be anything from 1 to 5. So that's the difficulty of the actual task that you need to achieve. So you're probably looking at I reckon probably a 3, maybe.
Yeah, it sounds
what do you reckon?
pretty difficulty. And let's put the resistance at 1 as well. I'll give it a
Okay,
resistance of
so that's a
1.
resistance of 1 and a difficulty
Grenades
of
are
3.
listed.
Okay, so whenever tasks to overcome an extended task, there are a few additional steps to follow. So when you succeed at a task, so what you do is you make a task roll. If you succeed, you roll 2 challenge dice plus an additional number of challenge dice equal to the discipline used for that task. So if you're doing, so I guess you'd be doing probably what, insight and science, right? So,
Yep.
see that's the task that's needed to
12.
so what's your what's the discipline? So the science value. You got 5 or a 4?
4.
So you would roll 6 challenge dice each time you succeed at a task.
Okay.
The total roll on these dice is the amount of work done. So that's much like when you roll damage in combat. So the amount of work. So you've got a work track of, we said 10. So
15.
Sorry, 15. So you've got to get more than 15 on that work track to succeed.
Yep.
I've already got 3. So.
But tasks can have a resistance, which
It's got a
reduces the
resistance
amount of
of
work
1,
done. So should we just, if we just demonstrate it? So if
Yeah,
you
yeah.
want to, so if Kerrin sets what the task is, so you said it was insight and science, is that?
Insight and science, yes.
So it's 12.
So difficulty is 3.
20 is very good.
So that means a complication. Okay, hold on.
I've
that
got a
thought.
16 and a 20.
You inhale the spores.
I mean, to be honest, if you want to apply a complication, you could say, for example, that extends the work track because you've made it more difficult. So like for example, you tainted the first set of.
Well, the lick test didn't work.
Or you could say the resistance. It's up to you to imply complication because he's basically
I'm a
made things more
scientist.
difficult.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so right. So all right. So the second. So we're gonna, obviously also what you would probably do is suggest an amount of time that each
So
attempt would take. So like I don't know. Say it takes 2 minutes per attempt.
my focuses though.
If time is a factor, you could say, well, each attempt's going to take 5 minutes. So if it takes you 10 goes, that's almost an hour.
Yep.
If you're all going to die within 40 minutes, then that's no good. So
my focus is actually sciences. I've got xenobiology, genetics, infectious diseases, virology. So there's 4.
You were built to do this task.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first attempt failed, so there's a complication which will maybe Kerrin can figure something out for that as we go. So do you want to try again?
So am I going to get the computer to help as well? Let's go with this computer. So I hadn't turned the computer on last time.
Would we have stun grenades in
Hold on.
the... Grenades isn't
Do
accepted.
you want to roll?
Grenades are listed as weapons in the thing. But it doesn't say anything about stun grenades.
Okay.
Would we have... I mean, it
I
would
would
be something
assume.
that we would have...
I would assume because it's sort of more military shape. Yeah, you would have.
We would have...
You would have an armory,
We would have an armor, but we're more likely to have stun grenades rather
flashbangs
than
or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
flashbangs sort of thing.
We've got those white phosphorus we're not allowed to use.
Okay, so what I'm going to do...
I've seen what they
Got
do.
Willie Pete. It's Willie Pete, isn't it? It's Willie
Yes,
Pete.
so it's 2 successes.
Okay, so did you say that is it okay, are you happy for the ship to assist with the computer?
Yes.
Or is it
either the ship or one of your assistants, because you've got people that work with you, right?
It's up
So
to
it's
you.
up to you if you
So
want.
okay, so if the ship would use
I use the ship
computer
because if I'm
and
gonna
science, which would be only a 10,
Yeah.
because the vigilance not built for
I
science.
see you using the ship because the environmental controls are filtering the
Yeah.
stuff, so it's already picking up data.
And also,
so
if
you're
I'm
using the
going
ship.
to build any models, I'm not going to ask them to build a model. I'm going to get a computer to build the
Of
model.
course. Yep.
So you made okay. I got one
That's
success.
3 successes.
So hold on a minute. Hold on. So that means that's 3 successes. So that means the first task we've succeeded because we've achieved 3 successes, which is the difficulty that you need to succeed.
Yep.
So what that means is, so now you need to roll challenge dice. So you need to roll that d6s.
6.
So you roll 2 plus additional challenge dice equal to the discipline. So what's your science discipline?
4.
So we said it's a total of 6. So roll 6 dice. So you remember how to calculate this. So 1s and 2s count as normal. and effects give you a 1. So that gives you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right?
Yep.
So that's a total effect of
Oh, so
5.
there's
It's
0.
got resistance of 1.
Value of 5. So that takes 1 off. So that means we've achieved 4. So we haven't achieved a breakthrough because you need to achieve 5 or more to get a breakthrough.
Yeah.
Which means we haven't. So, okay, let me just read that. Make sure I've got that right.
I remember that being correct.
Right. Any remaining work is marked off from the work track. So that would take our. What did we say we got?
It was 15. We're now down to 11.
So down to 11. So just make a note of that as 11. Okay. Right. Fine. So essentially, that's one round of. Let me look at effects. See whether effects do anything. Because you rolled 3 effects, didn't you?
Yeah.
No, so I don't think effects have any other than because it's a numeric value that you're looking for. So that's your first attempt. So however long that's taken, say 5 minutes or whatever. So you can try again. So again, same again.
Oh yeah, you can't. No.
Okay.
No.
But that's how it works basically.
Yes. Perfect.
So I'll keep that handy so we can refer to it because I do.
So
need to
your
refer-
complication through exposure to the spores.
Yep.
For now, I will tell you that you are experiencing slight. It's only a slight effect, and it's akin to. I don't know how Vulcans react to alcohol, but it's a slight drunkenness. It's similar to. Okay.
It's high.
really badly, I'm going to say.
What I'm going to do, could we clear space just so I can get some minis on the table? 'Cause
Absolutely.
We didn't do minis last time, so that's. I actually need this much space, so probably the whole of that white.
What the hell?
Actually, I thought it was underneath it.
No, it's just because I've got wires under there and I wanted
Yeah.
a flat surface. I don't want to put that on top of the
Right.
speaker.
Is that
Again.
That's
So you can just roll that down
Oh my god.
for me.
Holy shit.
someone bored.
Okay, that'll do. Looks good. Let's stick that one here. Where it belongs.
Oh wow. Oh.
Okay, discuss battle plans amongst yourselves, or just what you're going to do, because it might take me a second to set this up.
This, well, I would assume.
Next, if you can, you wanted to communicate, right?
Yeah, yeah. Basically, did that. I'm telling Kulesh to get stoned in it.
Yep. So, in your communication, you said to release the prisoners or the hostages. Otherwise,
Well, we'd like to engage with the just to find out what their demands are. I'd like to find out, I'd like my people back. What do you want?
Hey, I can't wait to see when you've done the whole ship in this style.
yeah, we can wait.
3 weeks, all right? Yeah. If you could get on that, that'd be awesome.
okay. So they respond. Well, one of them starts shouting into the air because they don't quite know how your communication device is working. But Kim will activate her badge so that you can hear the communication.
emergency beam out.
Talking to theirs in instincts.
Emergency beaver. It's very crackled and gargled because it's got interference from the spores. But they say that they are. Our demands are that you allow us access to a shuttle and leave your ship.
Right, see those 3 crates there with the open lids? If you get into those shuttle crates, we'll shut the...
Shuttle.
Yeah, we'll just transport you outside.
These look like actually legitimate props that they used in Star Trek for stuff in hangar bay, in cargo bay.
So if you
Get
film
the
this,
engineers to sort out problem, try to get the engineers.
I mean, this is we're just going to get nothing done, are we?
We end up in a situation where we take as long as we can just to get as much fun as possible with this.
for the younger members of the audience, these are
Foam canisters.
foam canisters. Not foam.
Film.
Film. Never mind, ignore me.
All right, Grandad.
For my baby brownie.
What, did you wander around the brewery and we're like, oh, this would be handy?
Yep.
You're getting to mine like, all the beer's gone off. Some little shit nicked all the bungs.
Well, at least
I needed them for my cargo bay set. What do you mean?
At least it makes the ship still authentic.
Yeah, good point.
I'm surprised he hasn't made it like you know, to scale 1.
Okay, so this is obviously cargo bay 1.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we go to cargo bay 2.
Okay, our first battle plan is to go to Cargo Bay 2.
The reason
can't come again.
The reason I'm taking the time to put this down is just because it does impair line of sight.
Yeah, no, perfect. I love it. I'm loving it.
Okay, so Naismith to engineer to transporter thing. Slowly start beaming all the containers out.
Oh, anti-grav. Lift them up. Just push them.
You have got some thread. You have got some thread, right, to suspend them when we go to zero gravity.
Zero grav. Just. Oh.
Okay, enough.
Yeah, come on.
I'm nearly done.
Now you're just taking the mickey.
Yeah, never let you show off.
We kind of do, to be fair.
What?
Loving it.
Oh, that's where Rufus's Lego went.
Excellent cannons.
Yeah. Genius.
Right. Okay.
Can you flatten that? Is that?
It's just some cabling. Yeah, hold on.
Right.
What is that?
You see that thing about the Millennium Falcon in Rise of Skywalker? You know the original in the Force Awakens.
Yeah.
There was a model of the Batmobile modelled into it. Yeah. Underneath, you know that? Yeah. He done another one. There's a model of an Eagle transporter modelled into.
She hasn't got a gun, but this is going to be Kim. Okay. Right. Have you guys got a little?
I think we've got a female in blue, haven't we? Do you want to use her? Is there a female in blue?
Kim is actually in armour like that.
Okay.
She's.
Okay, fine. Oh, of course, yeah, she's the. Yeah,
but I need one for being Hanok. Yeah.
Why don't you use the female Andorian?
Yeah, that's perfect.
That's
good. So she's going to be.
Geez, I might need to get my.
Well, if they're all over there, and this is the entrance.
So yeah, this is one entrance. Now the security have been pushed back. So it's up to you whether or not they went into here because they were coming under fire. And they didn't know what to do.
Right, so hang on, let's.
In that case, I'll just put a force field across there, so they could.
Okay, so who's going to be involved in this conflict? So we need.
Yeah.
So where's there's a security officer, right? So she's obviously security.
So you down there as well, Sean?
No, I'll be this side. I'm not going to be standing right next to.
Yeah, but what I'm saying
looking
is
and going, we're going to have a chat because.
So put Naismith over there. We need another security guard over here, probably. Can you give us that Tellarite in the? Give us the Tellarite in the gold. So. Should we have? So these are the two original security guards who came across them, right? So they're basically holding position in the corridor.
Yeah.
Does that seem sensible?
Yeah.
So they're out of line of sight. They're out of.
Cool.
They're basically just holding the corridor, waiting for orders.
Yep.
So in terms of zones, is that zone 1? And is
I think we can probably just improvise zones. Yeah.
So we're going to have one zone here and one zone here. So I'm going to split that in two.
Yeah.
That's going to be another zone out in the corridor. This will be another zone out here.
Yep.
And then if we need zones beyond that, we'll.
Right, let me
So
get some,
we'll go from that point there to the centre. A zone as split.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, hold on a minute. Let me get some. Where's it? I've got the crib sheets here. You know, the combat. That might be useful. Security oversight, tactical reference. I bet that'll be handy. Okay.
Okay, so.
You only did this after you gave him all that threat. I'm
Yeah.
forgiving Steve.
I can only apologise.
Let's do that. Is it going to work?
What? Two.
There you go.
Couple of stun grenades on this side. Alright, I'm waiting for them to speak first, so.
Can I check
yes,
the
of
ship
course.
card?
So.
Can I have the ship card for a minute?
And also, this is blocked. I'm locking this down so they can't come out that way.
Can I just suggest one thing? So, for those, well, we've got some security characters who are not detailed. Vigilant has a crew trait of what's called talented, which means all the attribute of the crew members is considered to be 10, discipline 3, and that applies. The idea of that is if you're making rolls for non-specific characters. So I suggest that any of the security characters we haven't got defined, just give them a 10 and a 3.
Yep.
So their target numbers are 13, right?
Yep.
Just to make life easy.
Can we get enough figures so that each of you can take care of a security?
Yeah,
Person?
I've got one here, got two here.
So if any of you want to play
Do you want
as...
Kalish? Because you probably want Kalish,
Yeah,
right?
you might as well stick Kalish there.
Where are you going?
Where do you want Kalish to be?
Go with you, wouldn't she? I suppose.
Should be with you.
Well, it's up to her. She can take command of the other side.
So give us the Denobulan.
I mean, if one of you wants to take on Kalish, so there is Kalish's sheet. If anyone wants Kalish,
I'll have Kalish over here.
Only if you've got a proper Klingon.
She's a Klingon.
A finished Klingon.
Oi, cheeky bastard. That's a hero clicks, mate. That's already been painted. Not by me, admittedly. What about the Denobulan with the... Because that's my character, but you might as well use the one with the phaser rifle. Right in front of you, with the phaser rifle.
That one?
Yeah. We'll use her as security, because although she's my character, technically,
Yeah.
we'll just use her because she's got a weapon, so it looks good. Also, don't forget, this. How many people have we got in the security department? Because I don't want to go mad.
8.
Okay.
but I mean, they don't have to all be security, right? They can be.
But I mean, do you want to stick maybe another couple over that side then with those? So we've coming at them from 2 different locations, right?
I mean, we're on red alert, so
Fair enough.
Everybody's awake.
Yeah.
Although I think Colette should be with the other security team.
Do you think? Okay, fine. Stick her over here.
yeah, that's Kimberly.
Yeah, so she's in armour.
She's in
Right.
white armour, so it's not.
What's the armor?
Life support, isn't it?
Yeah,
Oh, yes,
it's not.
okay.
In fact, it's if it gets hit by a phaser, it actually
Yes, I remember
amplifies.
that, yeah. Okay.
So there's Kalish's stats there. Okay.
We need one more person over there. One.
We'll leave that there for a minute. So I've got the rules here for. I actually printed out.
That's
I
your-
actually
that's
bought
yours,
and downloaded
That's your character.
the quick start, like the starter game rules. So I have
So
actually got the
the-
proper combat rules here.
Entrance to the shuttle bay is command stuff only.
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
All for right and security.
Are you going to let them know that? Yep.
No, I'm not telling them until it's absolutely necessary. I'm not going to tell them, by the way, we've locked out, like, you know, if you want to get there, like, because they've asked for access to the shuttle car, to that, and I'm not going to give them access to it if I can help it.
Yep.
First need to figure out what the situation is about their spores.
Yeah, I'm going to continue.
So that's obviously a map of where we are. This is
It's a pity we can't do
Awesome.
the bay. This is obviously shuttlecraft.
Great job.
And then I guess this. What's this? The waste recycling. That's just that area there.
Oh, wow.
So I assume they're turbo lifts. I'm not-
I think. Yeah, that's actually a hatch. You see the little square thing?
Yep.
So that's basically it's a vertical ladder. I
Okay.
think. But it will serve as a turbo lift, whatever.
Because I was looking on the plans to see where the actual turbo lifts were. Those were the only ones that go to sort of all decks. I assume that was like a Jeffries tube or something.
Could be. Yeah, let's go with that. That's fine with me.
As long as they can't access it from the inside.
So we're assuming these are turbo lifts.
Yeah. That's probably where how the security got down, right?
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, I suppose now that we've done that, have they responded to... I know that they were shouting, but...
So yeah, they said that we'll release the hostages if you give us access to the shuttle bay, as in stand down. And what was your response to? Did you respond to that?
I was like, unfortunately, I can't do that.
Then they say, then you leave us no choice. We'll fight our way out, or we'll execute the hostages if you don't let us through.
Okay.
Is this area still fogged up?
So only their zone has got it's producing spores, but the environmental controls are sort of sucking it away, so it
Can
won't
I-
really spread beyond their zone.
Can I get because I'm still on the bridge? Can I get a track? Can I get a lock on Kimberly and the?
Unfortunately, not, because they're within. So anything within that zone is out.
I'm going to carry on working on that, trying to get a positive lock on them. Once I've got a positive lock, I'll be in the middle.
Okay, cool. Yep. I guess the further the research goes on these spores,
Yeah.
the better that will be. So if
Okay. So then, if you carry on your research,
I suppose you might as well move to combat.
So we're going to swap obviously between your turn and their turn. Every time it goes back to your turn, I'll let you make another attempt at the work track, as well as you guys taking a turn. So that's going to happen every turn.
Right.
Okay.
So,
So the first question, so these spores we know are biological,
Yep.
and just making a wild guess at them being plant-based, is it not worth attempting to alter the light from UV light to non-UV light to see if that has any effect on their...
you can certainly do that. I mean, that would just be a very simple engineering,
Turn off the lighting.
Yeah, because plants absorb stuff with photosensitivity. It's possible that we can all just alter the light to see if it has any immediate effect. If it's not worth digging around with. Just as a quick flip.
Okay. So you're going to activate that? Is that?
I'm just going to do it from up here.
Okay. So the spores were slightly impairing vision, which would have made, if you were to shoot at them, it would have made it slightly more difficult. It would have increased the difficulty.
so that'd be like a trait you'd have on the...
Exactly.
Yeah.
When the lights go down, they actually slightly glow luminescent. And so that is no longer a fact. So when the lights go down
So it
here,
bal- it
you can now
balances out.
see them quite. Yeah, so it balances out. So with the lights
Fair.
off, so it didn't seem to have stopped the spores, but you can actually see them within the spore cloud a lot easier.
The spore cloud that thick.
It's like a fog. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was the thing? The variable. What were they called
The
again?
bailiff.
The bailiff. They're can you please tell me why the bailiff? There was a bailiff empire are chasing you.
So yeah, you'll get response through. They will say
Because
they are fugitives for speaking out against the Empire, and so therefore we are sentenced to death.
The Shankdowns.
Well, I think we need... I think
I think you should in that case, getting our shuttle might not be of any use to you because they are here, and the only thing stopping them from coming on board is me.
So our camera would sort of be focused on them as they're sort of hearing this, and you see the sort of the look on their face, which is a look of sort of defeat, and then sort of gather the sort of muster to sort of fight on, almost gritting of teeth, and they say that fleeing the Empire rather than standing to face judgment will get us executed.
so we have nothing to lose.
We've got nothing to lose, basically. Yeah.
So I think what we need to do is we need to take control of this. We need to take them out of action, stun them. We can deal with the other. We can't let them just run around.
No.
So we need to take them out. I mean, obviously not kill them. We need to stun them and lock them up.
Well, the other thing was,
So we can then figure out what's going on.
because the other thing was, and I just realised this now, in terms of the phasers, they would have been set on whose phasers did they get their hands on first off if they were shooting at us?
You've come across when you went to the med bay,
Yeah.
and Plume was obviously unconscious. There were other security guards, I guess, that were unconscious
Alright.
just outside the hallway.
Okay.
However
So
you
we
want
need to be-
make sure
we-
that they
we
were
need to be a
released.
little
So they've
bit
only
careful.
effectively got 2 phases, but it's that whole thing of like
Yeah, they've
and
got
then
2
I check-
phases.
Then I check, they've got 2 phases, which is fine. The other, and if we know where one, like they will know where one is. The other one it could be over there. The other thing is whether or not they've been able to figure out how to change the phaser settings.
Well, the good news is if they haven't, then we know that the phasers will be
Well,
on
so
stun
stun,
because
yeah.
that's the
And
regulation.
that's what I'll like check with the security. That we've been
It might be
shot
awkward
at.
if they have managed to change
No,
them.
no. That's the thing because.
Okay, Jenkins, you go first. Okay, important safety tip, everyone. They've managed to increase the settings.
It sounds stupid, but
No,
the
it's
security
good.
would like if they've been standing outside being shot at, they would know if they've been coming under stun
they've
fire
actually been
or
shot-
anything
yeah.
that's lethal.
Yeah, because they were shooting.
They would
They've
be
been
shot
holding
at.
the security team
Yeah,
off.
so and they've been,
Phases.
so was it stun of fire or was it something lethal?
That's
That's what attention. I'm like shit.
Should be able to tell.
They should be able to tell from the type of.
then it appears to still be stun setting.
Oh, okay. In that case,
Awesome.
right. Yeah, stun
that's
grenades
good,
are
that's good.
stun grenades are right. The plan is we'll move in from that side. Hopefully that will draw their attention, and then they lob in a couple of stun grenades. That will also, unless they moved into the. At this point in time, they're all still in the same
Zone.
Zone.
So you've got one zone here, we said, didn't we? So the corridor's a zone.
Basically,
You've
the
got
way
a
they
zone
say,
here and then a zone here. Is
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
Do I
yeah.
understand it correctly?
And then another
so
zone
this
for
is
this
another zone
corridor.
here. Okay,
Yeah.
fine.
Computer, give me a secure line to Naismith. Captain, I have a plan so crazy it might
It just might work. Oh, I hate it when he comes up with a plan that's just so crazy.
Bear with me. So,
you have 5 seconds.
Can't we do a little bit of shooting?
we know that the guys outside can determine these guys on the ship. So we gather some spores, we get a couple of torpedoes that we effectively gaff tape together and put the spores in the torpedoes. We send the torpedoes out, we hail it, pretending it is a shuttlecraft, and blow that up. Meanwhile, we get the existing fugitives in the transporter and put them in the loop that we did with the guys we saved, and therefore taking them out of
In the transporter buffer.
put them in transport butter, take them out of the
It's not an entirely shit idea.
So the guys outside won't be able to detect these
Shit idea.
because they're in the buffer.
He lost me a gaffer tape.
Well, no, we create a pretend shuttle to blow up.
Starfleet gaffer tape.
So we create a pretend shuttle
David,
to
what
blow
was
up.
it?
Okay, this is something we
But I
can.
think what
This
we
is
need-
something we can
I think-
discuss after
I was
we
going to say, I
resolve the
think what we need to do is
situation.
we need to
Yeah.
subdue them first, then we can deal with the other problem.
But you can offer them a way out.
I don't.
Without-
Yeah,
I
I
don't
get
think
the
there's
impression they're
I
not
think
going
if we
to
go like, this
believe
is
that.
no, I don't think they're going to. Yeah, so
So I don't want to come across as all militaristic, but I really want to use this map, and I really want to go do some
You
shooting.
don't have to like.
No,
I
don't
hate,
say that.
I hate railroading games.
No,
so if you
I
come up with
think-
a better solution,
No, I
please, I'd
absolutely
rather
think-
that than.
if there was a way of being able to get rid of the spores, I'd be use that to like start transporting even just the phases out.
Osterhagen's working on it.
Yeah, well, if you can figure out something in the next 30 seconds,
Should we be worried?
Um,
But no, but actually, no. To be
Should
fair, that actually that's actually not a terrible idea. As in,
So we're there in the buffer. And
it might be
can't
useful.
Yeah, no,
to-
we get it.
Yeah, we get that. It might be useful to encourage these guys to do one. Well, but again, the point remains: we need to subdue these guys first because we can't have armed fugitives running around in our ship. I don't think so. I think it's all like a point of honour or something, you know. So we need to subdue them.
Right.
And if they're not going to surrender, we've got them outnumbered, so we should be able to take
I
them.
know how we can deal with these guys. Isn't this the cargo bay that had the leaky sewerage pipe?
No, that was a deck down. But
Oh,
okay.
right, okay.
No, yeah, so what the plan is, move into this zone, and then hopefully that will force them to huddle up and face that way. Someone will most probably face this way. Drop the force field here, lob in grenades, raise force field, and then hopefully the stun grenades.
Right, so let me just remind you of some basic mechanics then. So ranges, you have reach, which is obviously if you're touching close range is the same zone. So these guys are in what they call are in close range because they're in the same zone as each other. Medium range is the adjacent zone. So our guys here are in medium range to these guys because they're in an adjacent zone.
These are long.
Long range is 2 zones away, and extreme range is 3. Actions you can carry out. You get to do 1 minor action and 1 combat task. So minor actions are things like move, draw a weapon, aim, fall prone, prepare. So some tasks need you to prepare. So if you're changing, for example, setting on a phaser, that's a prepare action. That's a minor action. And then combat tasks are obviously essentially, attack, guard, ready, and there's various other things. But basically, that's what you can do. The player characters get initiative to start unless the GM determines that there's some reason. So if there's surprise, for example, but then you have to buy momentum to keep. So you can keep the advantage, but you need to spend momentum to do that, which means obviously you need to generate momentum. We haven't got any at the moment. Otherwise, it just alternates between the sides, and then an individual on each team can act. Does that seem relatively clear? So I've got the stats here for the phases and everything, so we can figure that out as we go.
So it's your guys' turn first. Kevin, do you want to make one of those work rolls and then decide between you who's going to act
Steve
first?
can roll the other.
Do you want me to roll for the ship? Yeah. Well, let's see if you succeed first.
1 success.
Okay, so I roll for the ship, and I get. I got a success, and that's a 2. So that's a so I got a success. Yeah. So that's.
You've got an applied focuser, right?
So that means you've got 3 successes. What was your roll you made there, Seth?
So my
it was a 4, wasn't it?
4, yeah.
That's fine. So you would.
Oh, sorry.
Because your science is 4, which means that's a focus. So that means that's 3 successes. So that's correct. So you need to roll your challenge dice. What do you get?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So take off 1 for resistance. So that's 4. So you can knock 4 off the work track. So that takes it down to what, 7? Let me just check what happens. I just want to make sure I'm understanding this thing with breakthroughs.
So once you finish the work, then I think all of the work considers to be a breakthrough. Is that right?
Yeah, correct.
Or is it
yeah.
a breakthrough?
You get a breakthrough if you do it. If you get more than
work.
5, it achieves. You also achieve a breakthrough. So if you get a breakthrough, each extended. How large and complex? When a character achieves a number of breakthroughs equal to the extended task magnitude, the task is completely overcome. So so you can still progress through the work, but until you've achieved the relevant number of breakthroughs, you haven't actually completely succeeded at the task. If that makes sense. So you've done, in other words, you've done the groundwork, but then you need those breakthroughs to then
Apply that.
Exactly. Yep. So we're doing well. So we're working through the work. Right. So who's going to move first then? So do we assume Kalish is probably going to go first? Because bearing in mind she's a Klingon and she's probably.
Well, no, they're going to. Well, the idea is for this team to move first, to draw them, to draw their attention. So when they throw the grenades in.
So if you want to move, just pick one of the characters to move. So when you move, so they can their action to move.
They basically can move anywhere on the map.
Anyway.
Well, no, they get to move. No, it's a minor action. Means they can move anywhere within medium range. So they can move into an adjacent zone. So they can move essentially anywhere in here. Yeah. So they will obviously go to cover.
Yeah, it'll be. I wouldn't say going past those things.
Fine. So she just moves into cover and takes a covering position. Okay. So then we haven't got any momentum to spend. So that means one of those guys.
So it's movement. They can make an action. If they want.
Yeah, you can do an action. Do you want to try and shoot?
No, the whole thing.
Or do you want to just hold fast? So, okay, so you can let that go and just
If nothing else, we can see who's got the phasers.
Okay, fair enough.
Yep.
So then the action moves over to the other team. Again, I presume, are they just going to hold position because are they acting? Or?
So yeah, one of them is going to act. One of them has because they're in a cargo bay. One of them has access to a cutting tool. And they're going to begin to cut through this wall here.
Okay.
Not knowing it's into the.
It's into the deuterium tanks. No. Fine. Okay. So fine. So then the initiative goes back to us. So again, do you want to move somebody else from that end?
Yeah.
So it'll all come through here, huh? So you can't see.
Well, there, and then the next two will be then myself and.
So do they want to take an action of any sort, or are they just going to go with the minor action just to?
We have turned off these comms, so any communication between the two groups, they won't pick it up at all.
Okay, it's fine. So I mean, again, so then action moves back to them. So I guess either he can just. So he's already acted. So do you want one of these guys to do anything else? Or? So is this a door? This is a door. Is it doors closed or is it open?
No, it's got a force field though.
So it's open, but it's got a
open
force
with-
field. Okay,
yeah.
fine.
Yeah. I guess they're just going to stand ready, but no, they will not take an
They're
action.
not actually going into cover though. The guy's just standing there.
I suppose he sort of is in cover because he's hidden behind.
Well, yeah.
Got a
But-
meat shield, isn't he?
I think we could. I mean,
He sort of is looking after her, but he's also staying behind cover because he knows the entrance is there. He probably didn't see the guys.
do you want
nipping
to?
that way.
What you could do,
Uh-huh.
if you wanted, there is the option to do other tasks. So you could get the guy to roll for a essentially like a notice roll to see if he spots the fact that they're moving into the room. Because at the
Yeah,
moment,
let's do that. This one's
because
good.
essentially he's standing guard, I guess. So you could argue that because that comes under the option of other tasks. So a range of other tasks. So you could do that, and then it means that if they spot them, obviously, then that means they'll then probably react and start shooting back, or at least start moving into a better position.
So what would you say is a notice roll? Insight and security?
I think that's right. Yeah, exactly right. Insight and security. Yeah, totally.
Do you want to make?
Yeah, by all means.
We've got one success.
Well done, lads.
I would say that one success. I should have put the difference before one success.
Okay, so they're keeping.
Because they're
they're
moving
keeping
sort of stealthily, right?
sure, yeah, of course. Yeah, they're keeping an eye out, but they haven't spotted them. Okay, great.
Thank you,
So
guys.
right,
This
so
one is going to be the well, okay, but the bowling is probably going to be the one that's going to draw the most attention because I'm going to send her across to the other side.
okay, so that's
There.
so I would say he's probably going to one of those.
You'll notice that.
Yeah, it's probably pretty much going to.
But you did that on purpose, right? You did a movement to draw notice.
Yeah, no, the whole thing
Yep.
is to draw attention.
Fine. So action back over to this team now. That guy's technically active, but I guess he could probably call out a warning to the others. Maybe he's not
yeah.
actually acting. So
So he will. He'll say, "There's movement at this end," and he's going to sort of ready his phaser.
so do you want one of these guys to move?
Yeah, let's.
Oh, actually,
This guy will stay looking on his position.
Can she do a notice roll as well to pick out, see if she can see who's got the phaser?
Do you? I mean, as she's on our team. Oh, which one? Oh, you mean?
Bolian. No, that security officer.
No, because she's acted, or she's basically had a. She's
But it
taken
was just
a-
movement, wasn't it?
Yeah,
So yeah,
just
you can do.
movement.
You
I
can
guess
do
you could
notice
do
to
that,
see.
Right, so that would be. Do we have a base?
I would go with 10 and 3, which is what I said. So any vigilant crew, you assume they've got 10 and a 3.
One
So,
success.
One success.
He isn't particularly hiding it. So yes, as she ran past, she could see that this guy
Has got a phaser.
does have a phaser
And these guys would know someone over here's got a phaser
because they've been shot at.
because they've been shot at.
Yeah.
So that's the two places. Then it would be like, if she relays that back, my thing would be the grenade here and a grenade like here.
Mhm.
What is their reaction to it?
No other reaction. So this guy is sort of keeping an eye on her. This one's attention is drawn. He should be keeping an eye on her, and he kind of half is, but he's also sort of looking over this way. This guy's cutting into that, but this guy's still definitely watching because he knows there are people here. So
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
So back over to. So, okay, do you want anyone else to move over there? Or do you
Lars
want.
is the only one left, so...
Okay.
I mean, if it was a case that he didn't know people were here, then he might not be so
no.
focused on it. But
I'm gonna go with...
So who is this?
that is B. Hannock.
That's
which
the
is-
daughter. That's Haranok's
That's
daughter.
That's daughter was in the team. Yeah. I'm gonna get... Well, I can only do one grenade at a time anyway.
She hasn't got a tricorn, has she?
I suppose they would have taken any equipment off them.
You can do one at a time unless you generate momentum somehow.
The only way that's going to happen is...
Yeah, when we do start doing combat tasks, really.
That might happen with the attack roll. So, Kulesh or whoever can... Kulesh can...
Or you can buy advantage by giving threat to the GM.
I'm not giving him threat.
Just saying.
Kalesh, I'm basically Kalesh go now. So
Okay, so
either
she
her
can act.
or whoever's designated.
So what do you want her to do? Do you want her just to, because this is a
Basically
force field.
The force field's going to go down, and she's going to. It's basically force field
Move it
down.
through.
Toss the stun grenade in.
Okay.
Have we got any control of the NPCs? If he's turned,
Potentially.
if he's turned her back on her,
Yep.
would she not, if she's aware of this, would she not whack her over the back of the head with something?
She's about 14 years old. She's a medical sort of.
I would rather she just go down.
She's pretty afraid.
Because you don't want to have that conversation with Franok and say, you know about that your daughter.
Remember the daughter you once had? No.
Like, remember, she is a young girl and she's in the medical staff. Like, combat is not really her thing.
Yeah, we wouldn't want her to get hurt. But I mean, Kalisha, I'm sure will
In
have
that
no
case,
trouble.
would she then not, because he's turned her back, would
Maybe she
not
can
run away?
duck. Yeah, or maybe she could just get to hit the floor. I guess she'll probably hit the floor once the shooting starts. I would argue, probably not before.
And he's not totally lost attention on her. So he's sort of half looking at her, but his attention's divided. So she might, when she sees an opening, especially if stuff starts to happen, she might decide to take it. I might roll for that and see whether or not she.
Right. Okay. So let's get things moving. So Kalish, she can take a minor action, which is to move. So she's going to move into basically into throwing range of this here, force field here. So he can presumably see her coming because it's a transparent force field. Force fields are clear.
Yeah, it's not clear.
And so she can basically
Catch.
Yeah. The only problem here is we'll probably have to wait because obviously if she orders the force field down, that's another minor action, and she can.
That would be.
Can't you get someone else to?
No.
Surely.
No. Someone else is.
It's up to you, really.
No. It's quite the equivalent. This is something that's pre-arranged because it'd be quite literally.
It's
like,
described as
go.
interaction, so it's technically a minor
I
action.
mean, she would be moving, and as she's moving, the force field's going down.
Okay.
So I will allow commands to be shouted as a free action.
Okay, so should we get her to throw? Let's get her to throw the. Let's get her to throw the stun grenade. So we'll fudge the stun grenade. We'll call it just like a stun, like a phaser on stun. Because we haven't got any stats.
Grenade has got a pulse grenade, which functions as everything from a stun grenade.
Okay,
to
that'll do.
Sounds good.
That'll do.
What you call it? Has an area effect of damage rating of 4.
Yeah.
Things.
Plus it'll be plus her security because any weapons you add the security of her to it.
So anyway, so it's the pulse grenade. It's charge plus grenade, opportunity 1, escalation 2.
Right. Okay. So for her to throw it, I would argue that's going to be probably a control and security.
Yep.
Is there anything that get damaged in the cargo bay that's...
It's a stun grenade.
Stun grenade.
It's a flashbang.
That's going to go bang.
Well, we've got our crew supply of pot
any
noodles in there, so we really don't want to blow them up. That would be bad. Do you want to roll for her?
Is
or
it where
shall I?
the illegal skill is?
Right, so Kalish is going to throw a grenade, so do you want to roll for it, or do you want me to do it?
Do you want to roll for it?
Or do you want to
No,
roll?
it's your guys.
You can roll.
So it's 9 and 4. Can I borrow those two there? 9 and 4.
And then how do we determine if it's a hit on this?
So if she succeeds, so she nominate. I guess the answer will be she nominates where she wants to place it.
Yep.
If she succeeds,
It just,
I think it's a difficulty.
it's something.
It's a hand-to-hand combat action. I think is you have to. It's a difficulty of. I think it's 1.
Okay.
I'll just double check that.
Hesitating like fear effects, pulse grenades work in a similar principle to hand phases, areas used to set the countdown timer. It's quite literally going to be like
difficulty
2
of
seconds.
1. So it's daring. So it's daring and security, but I would argue control because she's throwing it, not hitting somebody.
I agree. Yep.
So control and security, difficulty of 1, and basically if you nominate where you want the attack to land. So we'll just say she's going to chuck it into that zone, which means it's going to attack the people in that zone, I guess, because it's a grenade, so it's got an area effect.
Yeah.
Of course, let's see if I actually hit anything. So what did I get?
14 and a 2.
Okay, so she's got a control. We said it was control, and so you've got 13. So if that's a 2, which is potentially 1 success, but she's also got focuses
And
of
she's got
close combat, distraction.
Combat strategy is
probably not. But she only needed 1 success.
Okay.
So I would say she's made 1 success.
Yep.
So that's probably going to work. What do you say?
And distraction.
So then
This
that's
is
also
checking-
generate
This
momentum,
is kind of a
right?
distraction.
Point
so,
of momentum. Good.
So
So-
I'm going to argue distraction as well, because it's kind of like we're kind of confusing.
But you only get the
ourselves.
benefit from one focus, so it doesn't really matter, I suppose.
Well, it's
we
one
got,
or the
our
other.
2 successes, didn't we? So,
Yeah, so we've got one. So we've got one.
Grenade is. We said it's range.
It's
It's 4.
4. It's 4.
So 4 challenge dice, and then you add. Basically, you have to add her. What's her security rating?
4.
So that means it's a total of 8 because you add the weapon damage gets added to the security of the person doing
I
it.
suppose the quality would be non-lethal.
So yeah, I would argue it's non-lethal. So that's 2, 3, 4, and 2 effects. 5, 6. So that's 8 and 4 effects. So what resistance do they have? Do you know?
They don't have resistance at all.
Okay, so that's 8.
Because
so,
you get resistance with armour, right?
okay, I mean yeah. So I would say basically the guy nearest, he's just going to be taken out because you've done 8 damage, which is more than 1. Because so for a non-player character, anything over 5 is considered to be like a knockout.
Yep.
So he'd be reduced to unconsciousness.
Yep.
Is that what did we say the area effect was on the grenade table? So it's got area. Area. Okay. So I think what that means is anybody in the same zone takes the same.
damage.
You have to basically roll the challenge dice against each of them. So he's definitely affected. So I would argue he's unconscious.
Yep.
And it's probably going to hit, but it's also going to hit Fairchild.
They're all in the
potentially.
same zone, so essentially it should be
Yeah.
all of them, right? So we roll
so
for
hold
each
on
of
a
them.
minute. So that's 2 and 2 effects, but the effects don't really. There's no effect that's applicable. 3, 4, 5, 6.
So that's at least enough.
So that
yeah.
means he probably goes.
goes.
He's unconscious,
Yeah.
and then
Fairchild.
no, she's got armour. So what's the?
So it's not armour. It's
Okay.
it's a bodysuit it's a medical suit essentially. It looks like
4.
armour, but
Okay,
it's not.
so she's actually not taken out. So
Okay.
she's wounded or she's like disorientated. What about this guy? Do you think he's in the same zone?
They're all in the same zone. So yeah.
So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so
he's down. Yeah. And then
fine.
the other 2 at the back because they're still in the same zone.
Okay.
So
we'll go for Haranok.
yep. 3.
4, 5. So she's unconscious.
Yep.
And then the last guy, 3. Yeah, 3, 4, 5.
Just enough. Okay.
So
perfect.
so basically they're all stunned. So that was easy.
Yep.
Not so easy, but so presumably they'll move in and
Secure the prisoners.
secure the prisoners.
Coup de grace, and she just slaughters them. Oh wait, this is a Federation ship.
What are you doing? They will not threaten this ship again.
And then Kulesh gets shot.
Okay, fine.
Okay, so they are now all stunned.
Yeah.
How would you wish to proceed?
We don't really have a security. We don't have a
We've got a brig cupboard. No, I'm sure we have got a.
Sorry. Yes. So top of the stairs. The little boy's sleeping, so quite as you can. If you need the light on for the hallway, it's the one by the door down here. But if you can do it without the light,
Yeah, no, I just realised I was phoning like that.
do you want to use mine? You sure? I tell you what, if I put them down the stairs.
I mean, this just makes me happy. I'll just sit here and look at this for another half hour. That's all right. I was just saying, this just makes me happy. I just want to sit and look at it for half an hour. So don't you just carry on without me. I'm just gonna.
It's just flip chart thing.
Thank God we're not in a Galaxy class, otherwise you really have problems.
Did you want to make another work roll for me, Kevin?
Yeah, good idea. Let me get my little bit of paper.
Yeah, have a look at the hole in the wall. How much cutting did the guy get through?
Oh, hardly any. Hardly any. It was.
No.
Because remember that happened within
Yeah, it was
less than a minute, right?
So we're still on 7. Is that right?
Yes, but if I give you another point of threat,
We do have a point of momentum.
We've got a point of momentum to spend.
I've already point of momentum. I've already again.
Okay.
Yeah, that was better. 1 success.
So that takes it down to
2
6.
successes, right?
No, it's 13. Oh, 14.
There's 2 successes.
What was your target? No, your target was 14, wasn't it?
14.
So that's one. That's
So
only one
I
success.
don't.
No, because he's got 10 and 13, so it's
Yeah, so my previous one was 16 and 13, so I got one success with the other one actually, so I don't need to spend the momentum. So I got one success.
Right.
The computer gets how many successes?
Oh, yeah, sorry. That'd be 1, because that's an 11.
2 successes.
Oh, hold up. No, wait a minute. Sorry, let me just check myself there. No, that's no success because it's no, that's not. It's 10 is my target, so no, that's no successful.
Well, I have 1 success.
So that's 1. That's,
we
it's still moving down.
just did work on the spores.
We're still moving in the right direction, so that's fair enough. You're still working on it.
Yep.
So I guess the first thing we would do is we'll basically put them in the brig, because I mean there is a brig, I'm sure, somewhere.
Right, grab the...
Yeah, let me just grab deck 2.
And we can figure out what's causing the spores to go off.
Okay, so when they went unconscious, the spores stopped, so they were excreting the spores.
That's really interesting, I like that idea.
Maybe we should get the doctor to see if it's something that he can suppress.
I mean, ultimately, what we can we? I wonder whether we're able. I think okay. So what we probably want to do is get them somewhere where they're confined. I.e., as I say, I'm sure there is a brig of some sort. Or if not, we can lock them in med bay, but this time under guard rather than just leave them in there.
Well, I mean, yeah, just put them in a quarters and
whatever we're going to restrain them.
We can use as a.
And then
Kaz, so you're still being held, obviously, but you get an audio transmission saying, "Respond to our howls or prepare to be fired upon."
You really don't want to do that.
Really, what?
No, they really don't want to fire on us because you know.
So their ship does outclass yours. It's a warship.
Okay.
Well, we could if they don't.
Yeah, but so are we.
True.
Well, admittedly, the engine, you can't have the lights on and fly the thing at the same time, you know. But it's a minor detail. We're working on that.
Yeah, my thing will be to lock them up somewhere, keep them under guard, check, but make sure they don't have anything that they can use, and then back up to Kulesh to take care of that, and then I'm going to get back on.
Okay. I'll just reply to their what's it? I say, please stand by.
Okay.
We just assume that they're, as you say, they're under guard, and they're restrained, taking the weapons off them, so they are under control, and we'll put guards outside whichever space they're confined in, and orders are shoot them on if they resist, stun them, don't mess about.
Yep. Naismith.
Mind you, because we're assuming that, I mean, obviously stun weapons do work because the stun grenades did take them out, but
Yep. So standard work.
they have a
And
nervous
then
system of some
get
sort.
the other two to sickbay too.
Yeah, and get them checked out.
Okay, Naismith, Fairchild pleads with you. She says that you can't hand them over to the Empire. They'll be sentenced to death. They've done nothing wrong except for speak out against their Empress. You've got to do something for them.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because if they would.
So we out the other ship outclasses. Are we faster than the other ship?
Don't know.
Hang on a minute though, we might think that we've obviously analysed their tactical capabilities, but of course they may not have an accurate idea of what we can do. So there might be an element of bluffing here, because although we might look at it and go, right, okay, we know that their ship is
shadows.
technically better than ours,
Got any Corbomite?
but what I'm saying is it's not without precedent that what you do is you front it out and you say, look, ultimately, and also you can. There's many things we can do. So we can say we've got reinforcements en route. There's all sorts of things we can throw at them here. But what we want to do is we want to start a dialogue, don't
is
we?
that they haven't attacked you. They are giving you benefit. They're giving you time to do stuff.
And we want to start a dialogue because this race could be an ally.
Just as a hint, just a thought. If anybody asks them whether they want to, obviously we can't ask them, but whether these guys want to big one, claim not diplomatic immunity, but you know what I mean. Asylum.
Yeah, exactly. That's
If
a good
they
point.
claim asylum, we're bound
to protect them.
We're bound to protect them.
I don't know what that is. Oh, it's probably the battery of this.
That's cool. Then.
Fairchild's engineer,
Let's.
the civilian contractor. Just double checking. Fairchild's the civilian contractor.
No, Fairchild's medical.
She is actually Starfleet.
Yeah, she's Starfleet, but she's medical. No, so I think Mike's actually makes a good point. Maybe you should maybe say to them, do you wish to formally request asylum? In which case you can then talk to these guys and say, look, unfortunately, we'd love to help you, but in our culture, if someone asks us for help and assistance, we are honour bound to honour it.
And we don't know whether
what we will do is we will open formal discussions with your government and our government to discuss the situation. However, because they have formally requested that they be given asylum, we are honour bound to protect them until such time as these discussions can happen.
Yeah.
Then what you do is you can call in the bloody diplomats and let them sort it out.
And then you turn around and goes, yeah, you might, you don't, you basically bullshit. You said, okay, well, you do realise if you attack, these people have asked for help, which is part of our.
Yeah, and any attack on our vessel will be an act of war. And by the way, the Federation is like way bigger, probably than you guys. But we want to come to a diplomatic solution, and because we have been, basically you tell them, look, we're really sorry, guys. We'd love to help, but these people have asked for protection, so we have to follow our processes. I'm sure you understand. Being an empire and all, you've got your processes. You've got to follow.
Well, how long before they wake up?
Well, I guess you can wake them up. You can have
some kind of.
The doctor can probably give them a stim shot and rouse them to bring them round.
Well,
do we know who the leader is?
I'll get thingy to go and say basically who's the one in charge.
I'll tell you what you could do. Maybe what we do is we get Hranok or Fairchild, probably Fairchild because she's the older, and ask her to speak to them because she was in their company. They're familiar with her. And say to her, look, and maybe encourage them. Because we obviously can't tell them to ask for asylum, but maybe you could encourage them to ask for asylum.
Yeah. Well, that could be one of those things where I could say, well, I had no control over what my officers went. Like worst case scenario, being official. If anything comes on it.
No, all you do, all she does is if it's in a what's it room.
No, but if I put her in whoever she indicates as being,
like the leader,
it could be
in the sick bay with them to basically go and say, the two of you talk to them and take it from there because I've just arranged for them to be stunned, so they're not really going to want to talk to me. Without first you discuss the situation and then I come in and then speak to them.
Could go. It could be. I mean, it could be as simple as going into the room and activating a viewer. So bring up article number 452 of the Federation. What's it?
Yeah, but we'll figure. We'll figure somewhere out that.
Yeah.
Legally, it's like it's one of those things where no one can be. It's like no one can. We still don't quite know how that happened, sort of thing, etc.
Because obviously the risk we're taking here, of course, is that
was a killing time
if they decide to open fire but I think the point is, like as Kerin's hinted at, that they obviously are not keen to initiate hostilities because they would have just come in
also,
and
I want to find out
started shooting, right?
If nothing else, I'd like to get an idea of how big is the Empire. If it's just one planet, then
not a whole planet.
We've got 2 ships. Do you mind?
It's but you know what I mean. It's like when you go.
Your version of Empire may not be exactly what we.
I think Mike makes it.
You should see some of our Empire.
Mike makes a good point in that if you turn it into a formal situation where they, and you say to them, look, we've only just met you guys, but these people have asked us for our help. We will obviously investigate, and if it's decided that they should be handed back to you by our own lawmakers, then okay. But that means we invite you to open discussions with our leaders, and if what you're doing is you're bringing them into a first contact and into a negotiation phase, and if nothing else, it buys time. And again, we're probably not the best people to negotiate with these people, but we have to take the lead because we're at the sharp end of it, right? So I don't know what you think, but
that sounds like a plan.
End of the day, it's Naismith's.
I'm tempted to be like.
At the end of the day, it's your ass on the line.
No. The other part, I'm security. Therefore, if they've broken the law, then they should be headed back. But at the same time, I'm not going to be a complete. I mean, that's the arse move to kind of basically be like, well, if they've broken the law, here you go. Because.
But what I also like is that's Naismith's journey, is because again he's having to
Don't tell me about
No. But what I'm saying is, I like it because he's having to think in a different way. Because you're right, his instinct would be to go.
Kalish would fire back. Kalish would fire
However,
back.
because you've got command, because you've
What would Kalish have said?
Kalish would probably shoot them. So here's the body. He's
She'd
coming
want to
back.
fire back.
The Klingons would probably.
She would, yeah. She's like, this isn't our
This isn't our
mess.
fight. Yeah,
it's
exactly.
got nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
But then she's not Starfleet.
No,
and I
that's
think
right.
Fairchild might speak up and say that,
That's
look, if there's
exactly
anything
right.
we can do
Exactly
to stop
right, yeah.
someone from dying, then it's our duty to.
No. I agree with that. That's the thing. I mean,
But I like the fact that Naismith has to wrestle with his own, because his instinct would be to go, do you know what? This is a combat situation. However, because he's been put in a position of responsibility to be more than that, he's got to go, do you know what? I can't go with my gut. I'm going to have to actually probably play the command role here and go, we probably have to talk about this, don't we?
and I'm like, can you run, or can the two of you, or whoever engineered, the two of you, that'd be even funny if they don't know about transporters, is do the calculations for teleporting a torpedo so that it comes up their arse.
Well, you could do that, I suppose, you know.
I hear all that. Yeah, this is what I want you to do.
I get that. This is what I want the two of you to do.
Yeah, talking's great. Talking's all well and good, but let's just do that.
Figure that out while I sort this out, because at least that gives you something to.
No, to be fair, you've got again. That's your. To be fair, you're thinking of the tactical situation as well, because you're right. I mean, if they do decide to just say, you know, no, we're going to take them by force, we might have a problem.
Well, I mean, we basically need to do something where if we have.
Sorry, Sean, mate.
Something up there. Because it would be cut and dry. Because if we have to cut and dry.
I've just dropped 5p. I picked it up, so I don't know if it's.
It might have been that though. I heard something go clink.
Yeah, that was me.
Sorry. Okay, cool, that's fine. The idea would be.
It's all right, Steve,
I think at this point in time, I would want to see about buying time to get the other guys to wake, to get these guys to wake up, even if it's got literally.
I mean, the doctor can just give them a stimulant and wake them up straight.
Well, just the leader. I don't necessarily want all of them awake. Just so that to kind of go and say and have Fairchild to kind of go, this is the situation. I can at least once whatever that situation, and if necessary, the communication could be out or something. It could be like engineering could be doing some kind of run on things so that nothing's actually recorded.
So how do we know that they can look at the ship? Can we not just say to them, we will investigate these alleged fugitives on our ships, please give us some time to...
Well, we're just like, I'm basically, I want to do that whole thing of going, they've broken, they've got some, they managed to get free, we just need a little bit of time to round them up. No, that actually sounds incompetent.
The other way you could do.
Well, I just told.
Hold on. The other tack you could take that works on the outset score, you could say, well, we'd love to help, but unfortunately, because they actually inflicted injuries on some of our crew, unfortunately, we have to prosecute them under our own laws first. So again, it's all about buying time to. Because at the moment we're sitting with weapons poised at each other, but what you're saying is, well, look, unfortunately, because they've seen fit to actually hurt, injure some of my crew. I need to now investigate that, and unfortunately we have to follow subsection 41 of the Starfleet Code of Justice. That takes a minimum 6 weeks. We'll send you the results in writing once they've been processed, and then we can discuss the situation. Because, again, that may just be that they're trying to save face. Because again, this is a first contact from both sides, so they don't know what we can do, and we don't know what they can do. But you're kind of.
And while we're talking, they could have called for reinforcement.
Could have done, yeah.
So my attitude on this will be to basically just tell them, sorry, coming back to them, we unfortunately have a situation here to deal with. Get the guy around. It shouldn't take more than a few minutes for her to bring him up to speed once. Whether or not he takes it from there is whether or not he wants to have a chat with me, then...
It was her.
Her. Mm-hmm. She was the one that was in charge. Mm-hmm. Okay. And
you probably get the impression that there's a bit of a matriarchal society.
Okay, that's fine.
Because a lot of these are female. There are men there, but they seem to be following orders.
Because if we bring her around, it shouldn't take more than 5 minutes for that whole thing, and we've been ignoring her along with at least 5 minutes. So 10, it should be like 10-15 minutes now, so it's not like... So...
Okay. So you still want to have Fairchild go in and the Doctor rouse?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. The Doctor rouses the one that Fairchild points out was, oh yeah, this is the one I was dealing with and seemed to be calling the shots. And she has a conversation where she sort of suggests, like, oh, is there anything in your laws that give you the... She leads her to finding out if they have a similar to diplomatic immunity sort of thing. Of which they sort of get into a conversation, and she says, yes, we do, but I don't think that's going to help our case. You're such a small ship, and the entirety of the empire. Like, what protection can you give us? I can.
Okay.
Then the
Throw them back.
How big is the empire? That's the kind of thing. How big is the empire then?
So they would go on to say that the empire, there are many star systems within the empire. Hundreds of planets.
Hundreds of planets.
Hundreds of planets.
As the bridge goes,
Hundreds of planets.
I'm zoomed in. Let me zoom out. Oh, actually, as you zoom out, you find the craft is actually tiny. Good tiny craft.
I mean, that may put a different.
They say, sure. We've got nothing to lose. We require asylum, and it sort of says it a little.
Take one Bremer as well.
She's trying to be good, so I would do, but she gets annoyed every time I do that because she's good.
I've never had one of those before, by the way. So.
Yeah, so she says, not snarkily so much, but almost like, I don't think you can help me, but I've got nothing left to lose. So, sure, we require asylum.
Okay. Which one I come in and be like, right, so, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. You basically say that, although the nearest must probably be the nearest ship that's got any political diplomatic staff in it is one of the Galaxy class ships, or on your station. How far away is that?
Quite a way. So it's about 6 weeks.
6 weeks travel time to the lighthouse.
Yeah.
But the phraseology she uses to get to the diplomatic immunity, is it a case that we can use that same phraseology
Sorry, what? Current.
when we talk to them and say, because they have, rather than just go, oh, they've asked for diplomatic immunity, we can say they've asked for
One thing you could do.
whatever it's called.
Sure.
So what you could do, could use that to our advantage. What you could say to them is, okay, unfortunately, because one of your fugitives has invoked the right of asylum, I am honour bound to report this to my superior. She is playing on the matriarchal society thing. Admiral Herbert, who's based at, and unfortunately, due to the distances involved, we will have to arrange to meet in a neutral location, 3 months or whatever time units from this point, and make it a formal thing to say that we will meet you in a formal location to discuss the disposition of the prisoners. At that point, buys us months of time.
You could also say, how many crew members are of different races?
What, on the Vigilant?
Yeah.
There's about half a dozen.
So we could say we've got representatives of half a dozen Beta Quadrant empires that...
yeah, good point. That's a good one. I like that. That's good.
Because one empire, we represent 15.
Yeah.
Okay,
So next bit, something you do learn is that they are an empire built on bureaucracy to a degree. Like, there's lots of rules and there's lots of order, and everything is done the way things are done.
Then
and
the time up in red tape.
The reason that they thought, asylum's not going to work is because to them treason sort of trumps anything else, right? And because they were speaking out against the empire, that's a no-no. But you do get the impression that they do respect rules, regulations, order, and law. So if you deliver that sort of message, then they will respond well to that.
That's the route that I'll go then.
Okay.
Tie them up in red tape.
So you speak to
We're a
Captain
diplomatic
Hedera.
ship on a diplomatic mission representing 15 empires.
Yeah, you speak to Captain Hedera and you sort of put this across. She's a little bit. When you first come on, she's quite annoyed because you've kept her waiting for as long as.
It should be like 20 minutes, 25 minutes, half an hour, something like that.
I played her what's it music? It's kept on hold. Elevated music.
So
Make it stop! What is this awful sound?
You're biological.
Ensign James last.
Ensign James last.
she does say that she respects that she is out of her territory, and she sort of is fishing to see if this is actually your territory or not. So like the word she's using kind of before, she doesn't directly say, "Oh, I'm in your territory," but she's sort of saying stuff to try and read.
Well, I'm talking about us meeting in a neutral location. I'm not saying because
she's trying to find out if it's disputed space or not.
Well, I mean,
I guess she's just
international territory.
I mean, to us, the expanse is unclaimed. Although we are expanding,
but something you do learn is she technically doesn't know where she is, but she's in her zone and she doesn't know if it belongs to you or not, right?
That's right. I'm not going to give in. I'm not going to be like.
Okay, cool. So
I'm just like we will.
Poker face.
Unfortunately,
but if you're lost,
the admiral is still. Like I'm not saying like you know.
She does say that she's a long way from home. That they've travelled a long way in pursuit. So she is actually kind of showing her hand, you know. She's saying that this isn't her zone. She's saying that she's a long way from home.
Oh my God! She's what you call it in Les Miserables. The French copper in Les Miserables chasing to the end of.
She says to make this work. We are going to, because you have some of our people, we are going to need at least one of your people.
Hello, Fairchild.
So that
is reasonable.
So that you don't just disappear with our people.
Okay.
We're going to need someone.
Jenkins. Jenkins reports to the transporter.
And he's scrubbing the toilets. He's like, "Come on now,
bring it overnight bag."
You got a secondment.
This is all a bit Corbomite manoeuvre, though, isn't it? So it might be an opportunity, but this could be an opportunity for us to actually instigate good relations, because as happened in the Corbomite manoeuvre, if somebody is willing to volunteer, you begin the process of cultural exchange by having somebody living with them. I mean, obviously we're not going to abandon our crew member. We've committed. We're going to report to our superiors and say, look, you need to get fucking diplomatic corps out here now. But we were not willing to, hand over these people for certain death without mitigation. So I guess it depends what you want to do. I mean, I'm quite happy for my characters to volunteer. I mean, if no one else wants to, if there's no one more sensible, but
they have powered down their weapons that were at the ready the whole time. The shields are still up, but they've powered down their weapons.
I don't think while we were on Red Alert, I don't think our weapons were ready. That's fine.
So
when they came in and there was a bit of an exchange between you, they powered up shields and weapons at one point. I think you responded and did the same.
So we probably should, probably power down our weapons as well.
Let's go down the yellow alert.
Yeah.
So we believe they can't. They have transporters.
As far as we know, we might want to not risk lowering shields until. I mean, we may have to if we're going to transport one of our crew members. Although what we probably don't actually know, what we probably want to do is use a shuttle and not reveal the transport technology, because that might be a tactical advantage that you might not want to give away. So maybe what we do is we actually launch a shuttle and send a shuttle over rather than transport.
It's an armed one-man shuttle.
The one option.
Jenkins.
The one thing that might.
We put him in a torpedo casing and just shoot him out.
What might be a suggestion, this is something I'm just going to float as an idea rather than...
I think I know where he's going with this.
It's basically ask if they want to send one of their own crew over to not necessarily, at least to be an observer in terms of everything that happens from here on out.
Could do a literal exchange.
Actually, you send one of your guys over as a representative of your empire, and we'll send
one over.
And then you can then use that as they can then put your side of the case forward.
Where's
Are you
the
putting that
political
forward?
point here that we
I'm checking with you. What? I'm like.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
That's an idea for.
I think that's a good idea because again, I think
I'll
this.
put that forward as a diplomatic suggestion.
She responds with enthusiasm. She likes the idea.
And you hear on the com,
Jenkins, report to the
report to the shuttle bay. Wait a minute.
On the one hand, we need to. Okay, who's most likely to have been in Section 31?
I guess what you would probably do is you'd probably open it as you'd probably ask for a volunteer because ultimately there is an element of risk in this, isn't there?
Yeah, surely we should be the person with the best diplomatic skills.
Kalesh.
You're not going. You're not going.
Osterhagen next. Osterhagen definitely is like.
No.
You sent someone with test tubes. What's the meaning of this?
You've beaten Kalesh over, and 6 hours later she comes back covered in sap.
Yeah, with heads in a done as you are.
and you-
Right.
you
We have
say-
their ship. No, you misunderstood.
You sort of missed the point.
And you ask her what happened, and she says, 10,000 stalks, maybe cut in one night to buy everything back.
But I think probably it's a volunteer situation, and
Yeah.
as I say, I'm playing Lyra, so if there's no other character you prefer to relinquish, then I'm happy to let the
A volunteer,
engineer.
yes, but we need someone with really good diplomatic skills.
We're not really geared up for that,
No.
but it's more. The good thing is that what we have to remember is that Starfleet crew members, as a rule, would be all
They can do
kind of
basic-
open
If
to
you-
the.
Especially if you send Starfleet, then they're at least trained the Starfleet way,
Yeah.
right? So they know how to.
to be polite, like and
They've
also
been
it's
trained in
about-
first contact and all that.
These are top quality
Well,
people.
especially
I mean,
if we're
they-
out
they-
here,
they-
we
they-
would assume that, especially if we've been out here, you would assume that we would have had some staff, we would have had first contact training.
Yeah.
The other thing would be to have someone who can soak up everything that's going on around them to be able to report back.
I'm going to look at the crew list and see if anybody jumps out.
Okay, so that can happen at another stage, right? So yeah, you will exchange people. The dialogue between you guys, it seems a lot more.
Relaxed.
Yeah, it does. It does. Sort of. They've certainly dropped shields at some point. You will probably make the arrangements of when and where to meet at whatever time and this sort of stuff. They request that you don't go too far, and they're not going to go too far. Sort of, they want to stay in close proximity, if possible. If you need to escort them somewhere, then they're happy to follow. But
Well, so they're going to stay with us, because I thought the other thing was for us to basically just turn around and head back, arrange with the ranger station for a rendezvous for.
So we're
they say
nearer to
now.
the lighthouse, aren't we? Then,
Yeah.
if I remember rightly from what you said.
Yeah,
We're 6 weeks away from the
Um,
lighthouse.
No, I think we're
No,
actually that far from
we're
the
not.
lighthouse.
We're not that far from. Actually, it's
Where's give me the map. Sorry.
No,
There
that
you go,
one.
that one. So let me just show you.
There's
So
no
on the
end.
map, this little orange line here is approximately 3 weeks at cruising speed. So that's basically there's Narendra.
Yep.
So Aiden 4 is about 3 weeks, and it's about another 3 weeks to the lighthouse.
Yep.
So Narendra is here. Now that's at cruising speed, which is about warp 6 or something. So we're probably somewhere in this area around near the lighthouse. Because you said we were near the lighthouse, I will assume we're sort of within a week maybe of the lighthouse.
Okay.
So I don't know whether the lighthouse would be a
There might actually, as I say, because it has been expanded, isn't it?
yeah. So we'd already established that the lighthouse had been bolstered up.
So it might
So-
it might be thing that there's a suitable volunteer there who could.
There's a command level. There's a command officer.
Yeah, but we could also arrange for if the lighthouse to be the.
But do we want the lighthouse to be exposed? Do we want them to know where it is?
The thing is, so we need to relay a message back to back to Narendra, which would probably be done via because the lighthouse, if you remember, we had seeded. There was like the communication beacon, so probably any message gets routed through there anyway, and it's going to take, even if a ship travels at maximum speed, it's going to take 2 or 3 weeks for them to get from Narendra to where we are, because I say cruising speed is about 6 weeks, so maximum speed probably cut a few weeks off that. But that's up to the admiral to figure out. That's not our. It's our job to report back the situation. And obviously, this is a kind of a critical first contact thing, because if this goes well, then you have allies as you expand into the expanse. We don't want to. If we don't, then we've got an enemy that we have to deal with, or which narrows where we can go. Because if you've got to deal with an empire of several hundred planets that are pissed off with you, then obviously you can't go that way. So
there's a point actually. If you remember from last game, there were some cutaways to you guys sort of being debriefed.
Yeah.
Questions. So we'll cut away to that quickly. And so the admiral puts forward the question of, do you feel that they can be trusted? Do you feel like we can build a relationship with these people? And we cut to Naismith, and we'll hear everyone's sort of answers one after the other. So it cuts to Naismith, and Naismith would respond.
The problem is because I don't know the whole situation. I'm just like, it depends at what point this question is being asked. Like if this is just after, because it's like I could say yes, and then a whole bunch of things happen in the next session, and they go no.
Exactly.
No.
But this is just the admiral sort of getting your impression, the beat on it. Like, do you think sort of this is a relationship worth pursuing? Are these people we need to fear, or are these people that we could be allies with? Just in your opinion.
Is this a relationship worth pursuing? Yes. At this point, I couldn't tell you whether or not they would be allies. I mean, my background would indicate that I would be like, I've had to work with people that couldn't be trusted before. So, from my point of view, it's possible to work with people we don't trust.
But your guard is up.
Well, I'm still at this point in time. I'm guarded until we have more information.
And then
I'm hesitant.
It would then sort of cut to Kaz, and Kaz's response would be?
Mine would be is that they appear to be a species that follow tradition and rules and honour. Until we know more about that system, you've got to put a question mark on them, because you don't know what they're going to do. Their definition of honour might be different to what a Klingon's is. They might. I don't think they'll act out of it. I mean, it's just we need to know more about their background.
I wouldn't trust them. They chased political refugees who spoke up against their empire across the expanse of space to execute them. So no, they can't be trusted at all.
And then cuts to Lyra, who's kind of like, why am I even here?
It's one above my
No, it's a good question.
Would you trust China?
So I think Lyra is inclined to trust them because she's inexperienced. And I think everything everybody has said is a good point. So Osterhagen, although on the one hand you think, but actually makes a good point that they present the face of being a organised, honourable. We have a code. Blah, 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 blah. On the other hand, they obviously brook no...
Look at the end result of that.
They brook no opposition in that these people their only crime appears to have been dissent. So they were not accused of any violent action. They were not accused of any criminal intent. The only crime they're accused of is speaking out against the establishment. So in her experience, she's saying from our interaction with them, they responded to our position. They seem to respect tradition. They seem to respect law. So for all of those reasons, on the one hand, you would say that they would make good allies because they can be reasoned with. So then they didn't open. She says, we must remember that their ship. I ran scans on their vessel and. Although I take pride in our ship, the fact of the matter is that if it had come to a stand-up fight, we probably would not have won that fight. They did not take that. They did not take that route. They chose to open dialogue. They chose to give us every opportunity to engage with them and to respond, which we did. And as a result, we now are at a position where we have a peaceful resolution to that encounter. On the other hand, underlying their society is this notion that dissent cannot be brooked. So the question remains that if at some point our interests diverge, would they be accommodating to that, or would they see that as something that would engage in hostility? So my answer would be we approach them with trust, but we maintain our guard.
If they're prepared to execute people for
Yeah.
dissidency, then they're not an empire, they're a dictatorship.
And much as I hate to agree with Osterhagen,
As Lyra speaks, her words continue. The image actually cuts to a very, very, very long corridor. You're looking down this corridor with sort of arches, and at the far distance someone is walking, and as her words roll on, this person is walking closer and closer. As they come closer into frame, you can see that it's Valef, wearing sort of quite ornate, clothing. Perfect, thank you. They get quite close to the frame, the camera. Head down, they kneel with sort of fists on the floor, and they say with bowed head, they say, "My grace, the seed has been planted." The view then cuts to behind this figure who's kneeling on the floor to a sort of a stage, almost like a ziggurat, where it's a series of steps leading upwards to a throne on the top, where we see a childlike empress sitting in this throne, very ornate throne, with a figure who is sort of in shadow standing next to her. This figure does not have the same physical makeup. Even though they're in shadow, you can see that they do not look
They're not available.
Valef at all.
they've got really square shoulders.
She, the Empress, sitting on a throne, hears words spoken, whispered into her ear, and she says, "Very good. Begin phase 2. As the camera sort of pulls slightly further back, you can see huge window behind the throne, looking out into space, where we see dozens upon dozens of these octopus that you saw before, space octopus. Ships, Valef ships, pulling close to them, the octopus sort of gently caressing around them, so that they have a few in each tentacle, and then blinking out. So these ships are almost docking with them.
So the living
It was a stinking setup.
living warp drives.
Indeed. We cut to black and our credits roll. The next day on the internet, the Star Trek forums are alive with talk of how this shadowed figure was no doubt Romulan.
Nah, bullshit.
Bloody Romulans.
No doubt.
No.
That's why everyone's saying it's got to be Romulan.
You cannot trust
They are
Romulans.
not canon. They are not
Stinking
canon.
Romulans.
You get the things that ripping our show apart because
Stinking
it's not canon.
Romulans. Stinking bloody Romulans.
Calm.
Well done, that
What
man.
does that look like to you?
Somewhere out there, a drill
So that-
sergeant is having a stroke.
Was that?
Doesn't it remind you kind of Pete?
Yeah, maybe. What? Yeah.
But it's just the fact that the guy's wearing his helmet. It's like, that's what it's all about. But I was looking at, that guy looks a little bit like Pete.
Well done, that man.
I like that.
Very clever.
Excellent work.
Great, so you're
What time
running...
do we wrap
I
up?
think-
Because I've got a little extra. If we have
yeah.
time, if
Yeah,
not, then
Well, it's up to Sean. It's up to you guys.
Sure, it's half past.
Because
isn't it?
I'm
Your train.
lugging a lift with these guys, so yeah, I'm
By
good.
1:30, yeah.
Yeah, so we're probably all right till 10.
okay, cool. So that is a little slow. We got about 10 minutes. Our characters, they exist in at least 3 realities. One of which is our playable characters in front of us. One of which is the reality of a TV show, which we can all see in our minds. The other reality is they are all living, breathing members of a Starship crew. So it's the latter that I want to focus on for a second. Some just, day-to-day stuff. This is up to our gatekeepers of our campaign, whether or not it becomes canon or not. And I'm going to put some stuff to you, and you don't have to respond to it
We've
if you
already
don't
had
want to.
conversations,
But it's
but
just
go on.
food for thought. So first of all, Kaz, Back at the lighthouse. So you've retrieved the probes. You have you've gone back to the lighthouse. They need to be recalibrated. The information that you picked up about the gravitational eddies, you can now sort of reprogram them so that they are able to navigate around them with ease, so that you can send them back out and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And whilst you guys are back at the lighthouse, you're going to be there for a little bit of time. Now, you're a pilot, right? Your job is to fly, okay? You get a bit stir-crazy being on the ground. So often you take the shuttle out, okay?
Take the roundabout out,
Yeah, of course, take the roundabout out. Now, you go to it one day to take it out for a flight.
Somebody's written Defiant on the side. Sorry.
On the side of the shuttle, it's been graffitied. There is, you know, the old warplanes with the sort of pin-ups.
Yeah, with the nose art. Yeah.
So someone has done it's fantastic imagery, but it resembles you a lot.
As a pin-up.
It resembles
Like
you
as
a
a
lot.
pin-up.
Now it's very well done. Is it tasteful? That's, you know, it's for you to.
Doesn't
it's,
say Hello Kitty.
It's
on
showing
it.
a lot more leg than you would probably like.
Yeah.
But undoubtedly, someone has tried to capture your resemblance with it. So however you want to sort of respond at all to that. It's also done in this sort of a magnetic paint that it doesn't just wash up. You'd have to replace the side panelling for that.
Does it seem to be?
Osterhagen.
Well, if they've done that to me, what's it done to him? Does it seem to be disrespectful?
Is the nose art on,
No,
on
so
a
it's
World War II
more-
bomber disrespectful to Betty Page, or is it? You know,
It's more in admiration.
It's a
People would
figurehead.
think it's more in admiration of you.
Then I'm
But-
leaving it.
Okay.
I'll leave it.
I think it's the equivalent of the bow on the what you call it, the figurehead on the bow of the ship.
Yeah, I'll leave it then.
yeah. You see, I like the fact I get my head canon for the Vigilant is definitely that these little ships are crewed with people who are a little bit more individualistic than. It's not Taylor Swift. No. I definitely get. I like the fact that the crew we've established on this ship is definitely a bit more individualistic than your average.
Well, you're on the outskirts.
Because they are on the outskirts,
Well, the thing-
but they're also technologically on the outskirts. Because these ships are, you know, they're still cutting
The thing is, we got a still on this ship. We got a still on this ship. So yeah, I'm game.
As long as it's not, yeah.
As long as it's not disrespectful, well, we'll be going through Kalish's security tapes later on.
Will not hurt internet.
Osterhagen. In an attempt to increase the ability to communicate through... Now, the Shackleton Expanse is riddled with all different sorts of interference. So in an attempt to try to cut through some of that, you've been analysing a lot of the static and the noise and figuring out ways to get communications through. In your investigations, you have noticed, partly by accident, a communication, possibly pattern, that has been being broadcast from the Vigilant. It was hidden within a lot of this distortion, and you've sort of fragmented some of it together, and it's a little worrying. There are phrases that come up, like, I have managed to infiltrate the crew. There are phrases, I await your further orders. And then there are pieces of information that you know that the crew has been through that should probably be confidential, but it seems to have been broadcast out. And this has been cleverly disguised and hidden within a lot of the static and chatter. Now this goes back since you guys first boarded the Vigilant.
So I'm going to double check my personal log to see if it's actually me looking at I'm not too sure.
100% sure.
I'm going to leave that with you for a minute. Naismith.
Love it.
Naismith. So you have been away from Narendra Station for a little while now, since being out.
When is Serrano coming back?
Yeah, he is on his way back. He definitely is. I think you're possibly. I think you're going to both rendezvous at Narendra. So next time you're back at Narendra, that's probably when you pick him up. Now, you are going through reports from the senior staff. Okay, and you're sitting in your chair, in your command chair, and you're sort of complaining, not out loud, but definitely in your head, just how many reports there are. And then you realise, hold on a second, a lot of these reports, they are from not necessarily bad behaviour, but from the senior staff. They are reporting staff that are tardy, they're turning up late. You're getting things, fights breaking out. You're getting potential thefts. You're getting loads of sort of stuff that you're like, hold on a second, this isn't right for a Starfleet crew. And then it sort of occurs to you that you sort of look around the ship and everyone is being a little bit tardy. Dress uniform isn't being worn totally correctly. You even look down at yourself and you're kind of a little bit unbuttoned. You've let your facial hair sort of grow out a little bit.
That doesn't seem right.
Exactly, it does not seem right for someone who is very sort of strict and keeps a. In fact, when Franok first left and you were put in charge, everyone sort of like straightened their backs a little bit because they were like kind of like, well, we're not going to be able to get away with much now. And so now that everyone's being a little bit tardy, this doesn't quite seem right at all to you. There is definitely something up. You are right, it does not seem right. So I'm going to leave that with you for a sec. Steve.
Yep.
Franok. So he went off to
Conference on
conference,
Starbase,
yeah.
something which you did mention, but I've forgotten it.
Indeed, and it was to sort of give his insight on, because he's been flying one of these Defiant class ships. To give
Help built it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So he's an expert on the subject. And now towards the end of that conference, you're talking with one of the admirals, and he's sort of the topic of the Klingons come up, and he puts forward his sort of concern that obviously you guys are sharing the station, right? And he's suggesting that possibly there might be a time where the lighthouse might become a fallback position. And so he's suggesting maybe that you'll be getting orders to make the lighthouse able to receive a bit more traffic as a fallback position, and because you guys are going to be based out there for a bit, then you might be leading that project or whatnot. Then he asks about Kalish. He says, I'm very aware that you have a Klingon aboard, a non-Starfleet Klingon aboard your ship, and it surprises me to hear that you promoted her to head of your security. Is that a wise move? I understand it was done before this
But you
messiness with the Klingons.
To be blunt, Admiral, Sergeant Kalish has never given me any reason to doubt her loyalty to my crew. Circumstances placed her among us, obviously, which we would have preferred to have avoided, namely the loss of the Mapool. However, she has performed admirably as a member of my crew in the time she's been with us. She may not be Starfleet, but I know she's loyal to my ship and my crew. At the moment, that's all I've asked of her. Politics may change that at some point, and obviously her loyalties may be called into question if this situation with the Empire is not resolved. However, she was given full latitude to choose her allegiance when this situation developed, and she chose to elect to remain with us, and I have seen nothing to make me regret that decision.
Do you believe we can use her loyalty to you to our advantage?
I'm not sure what you mean by that, Admiral. I would be uncomfortable.
We're just talking.
Oh, he's one of those, is he? He says, I understand, Admiral. I understand you're talking in hypotheticals.
Of course. No, I need to. You understand.
Understand.
Take account for every tactical advantage.
However,
possibly
I would. I think it would be dishonourable of us and unbecoming of a Starfleet officer to expect the Sergeant to act against her loyalty. She has loyalty to the Empire. She has loyalty to her ship and crew. I have every faith in her, to put the life of my crew above her own. However, in terms of whether her loyalty to the Empire would override that concern, I'm pleased to say at this point we've had no cause to test that. However, hypothetically, this will depend on how the political situation develops.
very good, Captain. As you were.
Thank you, Admiral.
If anyone wanted to add anything, then they're welcome to.
I just wanted to say, brilliant job. Really enjoyed that, and like I say, I look forward to the remaining deck plan to be fully completed. But no, great, really good. So,
what language was the secret communication?
What would be classed as common?
so yeah, it's just
Intellect.
Federation Standard, but it's
Federation
basically
Standard,
English.
yeah.
But because this is called interlingua, I mean
Yeah.
they've called it various names, but I mean I would just call it Federation Standard, so English basically.
Yeah. American.
Whatever show you,
American.
whatever it's the language of whatever show you, whatever country you're watching the show in.
Yeah.
It's seriously, great job, really enjoyed that, and I really appreciated the fact that we were able to have a resolution that was about diplomacy and about trying to expand friendship and knowledge rather than it being generated into a battle, which might have been my first reaction possibly to go down that route. So no, I appreciate that.
So my aim, because I love the ship, right? I love the Vigilant.
Me too.
So my aim was to sort of have a game that was sort of at least based partly on the Vigilant, to sort of feel as though it was part of the, really part of the experience.
Oh no, I agree. I fully.
So that was my aim,
Yeah,
and also
totally.
to push out into the expanse, right? I wanted to sort of get out there a bit more.
So just interestingly, touching on one thing you mentioned very quickly. So Mike and I have had discussions, and funnily enough, this notion of the lighthouse becoming more of a forward operating base is something we talked about, because practically the lighthouse is further into the expanse.
Yep.
And so given that we'd established that it's like 6 weeks travel from it's not really practical to keep going back to Narendra and backwards and forwards. So it makes perfect sense to us that because we're trying to expand Frontier, we'd already said that we were assuming that I think we had established a bit in dialogue that they were already building up the lighthouse and had expanded it, and
Yeah, because there was a
more
couple
crew
of. I know it's one of the ones I did. It was they were sending more cargo and stuff.
Yeah, and we can assume that probably will base a couple of ships that, not the bigger ones, but probably a couple of smaller ships will probably be based there. So we sort of assumed at some point the Vigilant would end up being relocated. That would become our base of operations.
Yeah.
Because the other thing about the Defiant class is it just doesn't have the endurance. I mean, we've probably fudged it a bit, but it's only meant to have an endurance of a few weeks because of the size of it.
When I first watched it up, you you went out to the colony.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was called.
Adon 4.
And then you went 3 weeks out after that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if you're going back to Narendra, you go back to the colony to refresh.
Yep.
And then go.
I'm
back.
actually
So there's
in-
always jumping off point, like gas
and
stations
that's
along
how
the
you
way, right?
expand into any area, isn't it? You
Yeah.
have and so I'm already in the process of making up some characters to populate the lighthouse's command crew, so that we kind of have
Cool.
characters to call upon. And again, Mike and I will probably talk about having another ship at least, kind of, which like a Miranda or something could be based. I don't know. We'll talk about that, but something based there, which again just means there's a bit of extra muscle in the area if it's needed, because again, the Vigilant is. I do love the Vigilant, and I've never regretted setting it on a Defiant. I think it's the right size for us, and it's a good crew dynamic and everything. But again, practically 6 weeks travel every time you want to go somewhere that hasn't been explored is a bit much when the ship can only do a few weeks because it's got no facilities to go longer. So makes perfect sense to me. So yeah, we'd already been sort of thinking along those lines. So cool.
If
Great job.
obviously, because I didn't converse with you guys beforehand, if there's anything that needs retconning, go for it. That's absolutely fine.
We might have a couple of questions, but we'll talk to you about those offline because again, we'd already discussed some things we might need to talk to you about.
The reason I kept the figure shadowy and then said online theories were that it was Romulan is because I didn't want to just put a Romulan into that.
Well, my first reaction is never to trust a Romulan anyway. So,
so it's more of an implication.
You got any more of these
the
tokens
one I
knocking
ran,
around,
the
guys?
Klingons nicked.
Your dice? That's yours as well.
The Romulans nicked a Klingon ship.
Kevin, is that your dice? I think that's your dice.
No.
What's his? Is it mine? Okay.
So the one I ran with the Klingons.
Oh, right, yeah.
The Romulans had actually nicked the crew of the Klingon ship.
Isn't that in my pool?
Yes.
Yeah, it's them.
That's why it's missing. The Klingons.
Because where it's presumed destroyed, isn't it?
At some point this year, you're going to try and find it. Or the Klingons are going to try and find it.